Commissioner Seal will be here shortly to join us, and Commissioner Justice is home under the weather, so he won't be joining us today. So it'll just be 6 of us here. So Kathleen just walked out of the room, so she'll be back in a minute. In any event, go ahead, Barry, get us started.
Good morning, Commissioners. Today, we begin another round of budget information sessions. We have our courts and constitutional officers today, and then we have 2 other days of different varying departments. As you have found with the other ones, it's important as we develop a policy-level budget document that it's reflective of the priorities of both the board and the needs of all of our partners. But it's also clear that we need to kind of listen to what type of decisions that they're making, the things that they're dealing with within their various agencies, to where when you actually formulate the budget over the next couple of months, you hear firsthand of the challenges and issues that that everyone is working on. So again, we'll bring everybody up, we'll give you an opportunity for them to kind of introduce themselves and what they're dealing with, and you can ask any questions you have. For our constitutional officers and courts, we also have our staff here to be able to answer any questions. You have the budget within your packet, and so we're not going to necessarily go through any line item detail or anything, but certainly staff is available to answer any questions that you may have at that time. So that's really the overview for today. Again, this will be 3 long days, today, tomorrow, and Friday. But very important as we build our budget, and I present the budget recommendation here in July, and that'll give you then 2 months to finalize and go through in detail any final decisions that you'd have before you actually adopt the 2022 budget. So with that, I would like to just turn it over to Jim Abernathy, who's going to just cover Article 5. This is for information only, but this is information that they file, and I'll let Jim cover that.
Good morning. Jim Abernathy with the Office of Management and Budget. For the Article 5 report, this is, we don't really have a presentation. I just wanted to highlight the staff, or the agenda item that we have. It's 21-917A, and the report that's in there covers the FY21 budget for the various court services that we have. It's for the public defender, the state attorney, the judiciary, and then also parts of the budget that that the sheriff provides for bailiffs and other departments, human services, REM, that we try to encompass all of the expenditures that we have for the courts and the related services. So what the report highlights is the expenditures and then the dedicated revenues that we have to pay for those, and then it also highlights the expenditures that are paid for out of general revenue that is not dedicated for those services. So if you have any questions on the report itself, I'd be happy to answer that.
And this is a report that's required that, again, looks at the 21 budget. Now, after this point, then we're going to be talking about the 22 budget. But this is a required report, and so we wanted to present that, here, if you had any questions.
Any questions for Jim? Apparently
Okay,
not.
first up then, we move to the state's attorney, and we have Mr. Bruce Bartlett.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Bruce Bartlett, and I have the best of my first time here.
Here, if you
Hit that
hit your
microphone,
mic.
Bruce.
There you go. Sorry about that. It's my first time appearing before you. I promise I will keep it short. We have a rather small budget, I think, comparatively, so I don't want to waste a lot of your time. I would like to thank the county, however, for everything they did for us during the course of this pandemic. Quite frankly, their response was very rapid. Andrew Pupke and facility management were excellent in maintaining a safe, secure workplace for all of us. They added shields when we asked and did so promptly. Jeff Wars with BTS to help us transition, and all your other departments. So, I mean, I think you need credit for that, and we were very appreciative of how that was handled, and it allowed us to keep the office open with 100% workload during the time period of the pandemic, and having a comfort feeling of the whole thing. With regard to our budget this year, there are really no surprises. I will tell you that the overall ask is in the neighborhood of $239,000. And it is 16.7% less than last year. A lot of it is the shifting of funds primarily in the area of mobile hotspots, and we're going to the laptops so that we have more mobility, as we learned in the course of the pandemic that we were ill-prepared for that. But it'll help bring our technology around as we integrate the new computer systems and stuff that's facing us in the office. The old machines will be recycled into our support staff, so all those assets will be utilized, hence the decrease in the need for the tower-type computer this year and hopefully in the near future. So, I mean, 16%, 17% down from last year. There you have it. Any questions?
Well, that was really quick.
You said, man, make it quick.
Any questions for Bruce? Okay. Thank you, Bruce.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Next up, we have Chief Judge Rondolini. Let them do a shifting here.
Well, thank you. I don't know if I can be quite as brief as our state attorney. One thing that pleases judges greatly is when lawyers don't waste a lot of time talking, so that was a great example. I think everything that I have to tell you will be pleasant. I think it's all good news. For the most part, there are really no significant changes in the court's budget. Any changes that have occurred for 2022 really involve personnel costs and, of course, the payment of our county employed staff is in conjunction with decisions that the county's made about implementing raises and whatnot for the county staff. So actually, when you look at, I believe you all have our materials, and there's on the page it starts judiciary and then budget summary. You can see the personal services have gone up 2.7%. Our operating expenses and capital outlay have actually gone down. So like our state attorney, we're holding our costs down and essentially not even going up at a 3% rate. So that certainly seems like good news to me. The important thing that I'd like you all to know is that although our budget is really being restrained, we came in under the target, I think. Mr. Abernathy can confirm that. We're not just sitting there making no changes. In fact, on the horizon on Monday, you may or may not know, because the Supreme Court is lifting some of the restrictions that we have in court, we're going to be going back to a much more normal court system where instead of being required to wear masks, masks will be optional. So those citizens who want to come into court and desire to maintain their protections, they can wear their masks. And perhaps most important, we're being freed up from the mandatory social distancing, which will allow us to use our facilities better. Instead of being unable to use many of the courtrooms, we'll be able to use our facilities more adequately, do more trials, have more hearings, et cetera. So that's a laudable change. What else is going on in the end of this year and 2022 with this budget money? We're not asking for any more, really, but are we making any changes? Is the court just stuck? Well, no. We're going to be making considerable changes along the way. We're going to be moving back to more in-person proceedings, hopefully. I think that that's necessary, but we will be using some of the technological changes that have helped us where they're efficient. Sometimes they're more efficient. Perhaps more importantly, from the budget standpoint, we anticipate that some of the things that bring in money, and as you know, we bring in considerable resources over the years. You can see that the dedicated revenues coming in had been about 70%. And part of that is from things like traffic tickets. And you may or may not know, I think you probably do, traffic tickets dropped off considerably for a number of reasons during the pandemic. And processing those that did exist were difficult. So that's been ramping up. I increased the number of judges doing the traffic matters. So we can anticipate, I think, that there will be more revenue coming in 2022. So I think that's good news. What else has been going on? I increased staffing and created a community violence court at no additional cost to the county, I might say, although we're using county facilities at the criminal justice building, because we determined that for domestic repeat stalking, those kind of violent events, we could better serve the public and more efficiently handle those hearings with those who need to participate by creating a specialized court for that. And we've done that in Pinellas County. We're calling it the Community Violence Court, and it occurs out at the criminal justice system. Now, our state attorney, as modest as he is, didn't mention this, but although some have criticized our new state attorney for not wanting change and being stuck in the old ways, oh my goodness, he's made a number of changes in his office, laudable changes, things as simple seemingly as having a way to contact by email the assistants, creation of a new internal operating computer system, the inclusion of a new diversion program for DUIs, and most importantly for this conversation that I'm having with you all, he had approached me about creating a mental health court. And I told him that we would support that. I know Commissioner Peters, who personally came and spoke to me some years ago when she was in the legislature about trying to create a mental health court. Unfortunately, at that point, we weren't able to do it. And many of you all may be interested in a mental health court. We certainly are. It's another specialty court. I can tell you I don't anticipate right now that that's going to require any additional funds, because we're in the process of creating that court and working in conjunction with Mr. Bartlett's office and Ms. Mallow's office, the public defender's office. Our grant staff has sought, and I'm fairly certain will obtain, a very significant grant to create and fund this seed for the project that Mr. Bartlett suggested we ought to be able to do, and I agreed. So that's where the court is moving in the future. We're not standing still, even though our budget is constrained for you all. I hope you understand that we feel like this is the 21st century, and we're moving forward to make improvements where they're possible and where we perceive they're needed. So if you have further questions, the last thing that I would like to say is the first thing that Mr. Bartlett said, and that's heartfelt thank you to you all, not only for the support that you generally give us, but for what you've done, your staff has done in these very, very, very difficult circumstances. This county rose to the occasion, provided the necessary services and the screens, and it was incredible how organized the county was and how compliant in assisting us. But this is nothing new. I've worked in the judicial system as a lawyer or a judge here in this county since 1974, and there's been nothing but a cooperative spirit between the judiciary and the county commission, and frankly, our citizenry. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the fact that Penny for Pinellas has been such a godsend for us in terms of our court system, and that, of course, is part of the big budget picture, and it's also part of the future picture, because all of these things that are going on in the court system are in addition to the fact that we have this huge construction project going on out on 49th Street to not only do remodeling in the Justice Center, but also put the annex, an addition there. And on top of that, we're in a complete renovation remodeling of the St. Petersburg Judicial Building. So, there are a lot of things going on, and in the next, I would say, 18 months, in addition to the fundamental changes that I mentioned in the State Attorney's Office and some of the programs that the court is behind, our operating facilities are going to have great improvements. So thanks to you all for your support. We appreciate it greatly. So if you have any questions,
Yeah. Thank you, Chief Judge, for that kind of update where you all are heading, and for the discussion about the mental health court, which we look forward to hearing more about as time goes on. Any questions for the Chief Judge? Yeah, Commissioner Long.
Yes, good morning, Chief Judge.
Good morning.
I'm curious as to whether or not some of the issues have been resolved with your judges in the judicial court building in downtown St. Pete with regard to the asbestos. Are they calming down a bit, and are they going to be willing to go back into the building?
Calming down a bit. I can tell you that when somebody who has been working in the building for a number of years starts getting reports that there are asbestos fibers floating around, as perhaps all of you all do not know, but we are in the process of renovating the second, third, and fourth floor, which are the primary court floors. We do have courts on the fifth floor. That was a long overdue project since the building was built in the 70s, and so pretty comprehensive. And trying to work in a building where the remodeling is going on and scheduling moves, that was an entire project. So we were working in the building. Then, of course, on top of that, the COVID crisis came in, and we were doing a lot of remote. The second floor was first to be remodeled. When the second floor was under construction, everyone became aware, those of the employees who didn't know, I knew because I'd been in the building for quite a while, there had been asbestos used in the ceilings of that building and the construction of that facility, and I think it was 1972. That we had been told the asbestos had later been encapsulated, sealed, prevented from being a hazard coming into the air, whatnot. So when the second floor was being remodeled, they put it under what they call negative pressure.
Yes.
There was, the contractors were aware of the dangers. Everybody was aware of the dangers. Of course, we were all told there would not be a problem. And subsequently, during that construction phase, there happened to be some dust which was appearing with some regularity in some of the other offices. And even though the second floor was sealed off, not much of a big deal was made of it. Some of the judicial assistants, judges, and other employees were kind of saying, well, what's going on? I thought it was sealed off. There's a lot more dust on my debris on my desk and whatnot. Then, second floor was all completed. Folks moved back in, and testing showed that there was a asbestos fiber floating in the air, and this is what caused the initial
And
alarm.
meaning one.
Yes. That's all it takes to cause concern.
Yes.
But when it starts out that you're told everything is sealed, there'll be no problem, there is no asbestos. Now, none of this is, the problem of the county in terms of the construction. Of course, the county hires the contractors, and the contractors are in charge of the abatement, the sealing, the prevention of the dispersal of any potential toxic chemicals or asbestos in this case. So we found out about that. We had to evacuate the second floor. Meanwhile, the third floor is under construction now. So instead of having only one floor preventing us from operating and having only some of the judges. I had already moved out to 501 next door. Now we had 2 floors unavailable because they had to go in. Consultant was hired, additional testing was done. So that's under the process of abatement, which took a while to figure out where in the world it came from. The expert suggested it came from the inner walls, which must have been disturbed during the process. And so without going into a lot of detail, there's a whole abatement process that had to be done on the second floor, which meant second floor and third floor were evacuated. So that is coming to a completion. I am told in the latest meeting, the second floor and the third floor will likely be completed in September. Hopefully we'll be able to once again move back in. Then the fourth floor will undergo the renovations. So after, that's I guess the good part, after this first fiber was found, of course I'm keeping my fingers crossed that there'll never be another fiber found, but lo and behold, another report came out with a fiber found. Then there was a most recent report where there was a fiber found on the fourth floor, which, people say, well, how in the world did that happen with all the things that are going on to prevent it from coming up from the third floor? There's no walls being disturbed or disrupted or ceilings disrupted on the fourth floor. And as a matter of fact, half of the fourth floor had ceiling abatement occur when we did the remodeling several years ago of the fifth floor because they had to rip out the ceilings to put the plumbing in for the fifth floor. So long story short, in conjunction with the changes that are going to, and this is an awfully long answer, but it has to be, in conjunction with the changes that are occurring on Monday, that is, the Supreme Court Administrative Order AOSC 2117 is permitting us to not require masks and to not require social distancing. We have, I think, Judge Williams, who's scheduled for jury trials in that building that we would ordinarily be doing on the first floor because we're not using the upper floors for the public during this pandemic and reconstruction, or we hadn't been. But since we're going to be able to on Monday, we have prepared for the juries coming in to have 2 jury trials in the 2 jury courtrooms on the fourth floor on Monday. So in answer to your question, we're increasing now because of the changes in the operational plans due to the Supreme Court changes. We are going back to in-person proceedings. We are going back to using the one floor that's presently available in that building, even though there was one fiber found on that floor. And I fully anticipate once the abatement continues and we get, our expert tells us that we've done the tests, it's all clear, the judges who did move back in previously to the second floor will move back into the second floor. The judges then will move from the fourth floor onto the third floor, and we'll begin the process once again on the fourth floor. That'll probably take us into sometime into 2022. Then the entire building will be completed, and I fully anticipate we'll be pretty much back to normal in that building. Normal, except we're going to be moving some staff out of 545. We're also going to be anticipating in 2022 moving staff out of, 501 back to 545 and moving staff out of 501, which is adjacent to the judicial building, out to the new facility. So that's going to free up space in the county facility in 501. So was there an answer in there that?
No, but that's okay.
Well,
No?
if I can summarize, real quick. First, you're renovating a old building that if you renovate any building that's built, back in the 70s, 60s, whatever, you're going to have asbestos. But there's standards on how you encapsulate asbestos. And the contractor's responsible for that. They're a very reputable firm, and they have standard procedures on how to deal with renovations when you have asbestos present. At no time did we exceed any of the standards for asbestos. Having one fiber, you could probably get that going into any old building, unfortunately. And so that was in a negative pressure environment. It was not unanticipated. They did the remediation issues necessary, including filling the walls with the glue or whatever it is that grabs any types of fibers like that. Those are the standard procedures. At no time did we ever exceed any standards for asbestos. It was encapsulated. And to be extra cautious and not just taking the contractor's word, we brought in a third party to do our own testing. And we have shared that and had repeated communication with Judiciary, working through the Chief Judge throughout this process to where everybody can feel safe that we will, one, be straight up, and anytime there's anything, communicate with them, and two, take immediate action to remediate anything. So again, at no time was there ever any dangerous situation out there.
Commissioner Long, I'm not sure to what extent you've had an opportunity to read any of the emails.
I have, and that was all I was asking is, are those concerns now addressed? And do you think those folks will be more amenable to moving back into the building? It's really just yes or no.
Well, I guess the simple answer is yes. Sorry for the long answer.
No worries.
I will tell you, if you've read the emails, you know that my emails have been nothing but complimentary and appreciative of the county's efforts and recognizing the fact that this, although it could be conceived to be a huge problem, is at levels that an elementary school would be permitted to continue to operate. I hope you can empathize with the fact that although I'm the chief judge, I'm one of 68 elected officials, and so the 67 folks who I'm in charge of and have very limited authority over are fully empowered to say and do a lot of things that I might not think are appropriate. This is a very good example of that. So I hope we'll be able to get through this, and I'm sure we will. I don't think many of those judges want to be assigned to Dade City, so that's about all I can say.
Thank you for your sense of humor. I really was just, I'm naturally inquisitive, and I was just curious.
No, it was a good question.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the Chief Judge? Thank you. Appreciate you being here
Okay.
this morning.
Thank you all.
Judge. Okay. Next up comes our newest public defender, Mr. Armallo.
Good lawyers usually follow Chief Judge's advices, so I'll be very brief, and I think he set this up so that it will seem like I'm brief no matter how long I go. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Mr. Burton, Commissioners. Longtime listener, first-time presenter like your state attorney. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here and present. Particularly appreciate Mr. Abernathy's patience with our office. He has been integral, and Pinellas County should be very proud of the entire Pinellas County Office of Management and Budget in this process. They've been very helpful to my office. They're very diligent, and they've been very patient with a lot of questions, so we appreciate that. Look forward to a future with all of you united in our common goal of serving the citizens of Pinellas County in an innovative and efficient manner and being fiscally conservative. If I could take a minute to introduce, I do have staff here. They've been very integral in preparing for me for this meeting and helping me understand our budget and go through it with me. Today I have our Administrative Director, Elise Minkoff, is present, our Mental Health Director, Ashley Rora, and Diane Paris, who works with the county budget. My CFO, Daniel Campbell, is busy in training, working on the legislative budget request so that we can try to keep most of the money coming from the state and keep as much off the county as we can. I'm pleased to announce that our budget is below target, and so I think that's the critical check mark. We are below target. Like the sheriff, he finds himself in a position where he is a first responder to mental health crises and the largest distributor of psychotropic medication in Pinellas County. That's not necessarily a position that he wants to be in, and I think he's said that on numerous public occasions, but if there's nobody else there to do it, he's going to do it. And I echo that. It doesn't matter to me who is providing the help to the people who need it as long as it's getting done. The public defender is in a unique position of being exposed by way of our practice to many voids in the systems and cracks in those. And I think this commission in particular has been particularly supportive. As I go around the state and look at budgets of other public defenders, I find that they don't have as much support from the county in filling those voids in the system, and so we appreciate that. So like I said, we're below target. There's a couple of increases. Those are in the material that was provided by Mr. Abernathy. I'm pleased to be a part of this county commission in the budget process, so if there's anything I can answer, I'm happy to answer.
Well, thank you for being here this morning. Appreciate that. Any questions for Sarah? No?
All right.
That was easy.
That was easy.
Yeah,
That was a
thank
good
you.
first round.
Yeah.
All right. Thank
Good
you
to-
all, and have a great rest of your day.
Good seeing you. Thank you.
Okay, that concludes our judicial area. Now we move to our property appraiser, Mike Twitty. Thank you all. And is Mike here? You don't see him?
He probably thought the judiciary was going to be a little longer.
Yeah, he was probably timing that out a little bit. Okay, well, I guess we can move on to the county attorney's office.
Yeah, I was just going to say, why don't we jump over to Jules' office?
Good morning. I know that you all have the backup for my budget as well, and I won't go into a lot of details. As you all are aware, the vast majority of the budget for my department is personnel. The only real variable that you'll see in there is the outside counsel line item. And as you all know, that is, those are funds that we use either when we need to seek specialized expertise. Most recently, we've seen that in the construction litigation area, or for those areas where we have conflicts. So that's really the biggest variable in the budget. Most of what you'll see in there that's not personnel related relates to legal research or other resources that we need to keep available to our attorneys in order to be able to do their jobs. You'll see a slight reduction because we just finished replacing some furniture in the office. We did do an office remodel that was very, very, very long overdue. We phased it out over several years. I thank Barry for moving up some funds so that we could do some of the furniture replacement when we had a lot of folks teleworking, which made it a little bit more convenient since a lot of folks were working from home. But we've made it through that now. We've just had a number of computers replaced, so those costs are out of the budget for this year, so there is a slight decrease. But aside from that, I really can, answer questions. Again, really the only variable in the budget is the outside counsel line item. That has fluctuated a little bit over the past few years. But working with Bill and his staff, we've tried to kind of true that up to what we're seeing as actual numbers over the last few years. A couple of unique cases aside that did make that number go up a little bit in past years. You all know that we did litigate and have a number of appeals in the Richmond Group case. That was a bit of an outlier where we did see a higher than normal use of outside counsel funds, but I think that really has kind of returned to normal at this point. So with that, I'll just answer any questions you all may have.
Jewel, I just noticed that obviously no increase in personnel, but we've had, unfortunately, some folks leaving. Maybe you could just talk a little bit to the turnover issue, not issue because it's not
Sure.
dramatic, but just talk a little bit to that and any concerns you might have.
Yeah, sure. We, one of the things, and you all 7 of you, also sit on the County Attorney Oversight Committee, and you really hear a little bit more from me in my office during that meeting. And I know that a memo just went out late yesterday, which you probably haven't had a chance to read about, but I did talk a little bit about it in there. One of the things that I try to do is sort of look at my office, look at my personnel on a 5-year basis, projecting out, because of course that coincides with drop. So that we when we have folks that go into drop, we know for sure when they're going to retire. Maybe they retire before that. But we, try to look and predict how many people we're going to be losing over that 5-year horizon. And I'll tell you, just in the last year alone, we had almost as many people turn over as I would have predicted over the 5-year period. Some of that are for, different reasons, just personal to, folks that have left. Some were in drop that we, anticipated. But I'll say during the pandemic, we brought on 7 new employees, which is not insignificant on a staff that is only 33. So I will say that we've had some of our younger lawyers, I shouldn't say younger, maybe less experienced, but earlier in their practice, leave and go to private practice to make more money. And there's certainly nothing that we can do and nothing I would propose to do to try to compete with the private sector, because it's just not really a competition we can undertake. But I have spoken with staff in human resources and asked them to take a look at the pay ranges, primarily for that entry-level position. I will tell you, we've looked at some of our comparables, I'll say, here in the Tampa Bay region, and it does appear that our pay range is lower than what others very, very nearby are offering. So we are working with HR and asking them to take a look at those pay ranges, like I said, particularly for the entry-level attorneys. But in fairness, whenever I ask HR to look at any position, I'll ask them to take a look at all of them. Except for my managers. I feel like they're pretty well compensated. So we are taking a look at that. Again, we had a number of people come and go over the last year. A couple of them I know did, in fact, leave to seek a higher rate of pay in the private sector. And again, nothing we can do to compete with that. But I did get some interesting commentary from both of them when they were leaving. So I have some thoughts on things that we can do to, I guess, market ourselves to potential staff in the future.
When you do those comps, are you looking in the Tampa Bay region or anywhere else in the state?
We gathered up some information ourselves to send to Human Resources to kind of get them jump-started on this. And the offices that we specifically looked at, yes, here in the Tampa Bay area, so Hillsborough County, Manatee County, Pasco. Sometimes we'll look at some of the larger cities like City of St. Pete or City of Clearwater. I have actually seen quite a number of job openings, I'll say, throughout the state of Florida for assistant county attorneys. So whenever we see those get posted, we'll just kind of follow up and look at those pay ranges too. And I've seen, again, a number of job postings throughout the state of Florida. So not sure if this is a trend just with me. It looks like it might be, throughout the state, because there has seemed to have been a much greater volume of those postings here recently, which is good for the people, of course, looking for the jobs.
Okay, well, keep us posted. Any other questions? Yes, Commissioner Long.
Thank you, Jewel. I'm not sure if this is the right venue to be having this discussion, but I do feel strongly that the workforce is dramatically changing as a result of the pandemic that we've just gone through, not only for governments, but for the private sector as well. And it does beg us to rethink the way in which we do our work, the most effective and efficient way in which we can get things done. And I'm always worried about the conversation you kind of touched on the periphery of, that we can never begin to compete with the private sector and so on and so forth. But I do think that there are some pretty compelling reasons why people may or may not choose to go into government as a career. And there's no question that we don't do a very good job of marketing the importance of what we do, the significance of what a great career and how satisfying it can be. And I don't think it's just in your area, but I do think for all of us as we move forward that these are things that we need to be thinking about in the back of our heads as the whole economy shifts to a different model. I don't know what that will be like, but I do believe I cannot possibly be the only one that's thinking that way. And so that leads me to your own level of compensation. And I'm curious about when you talk about the people that are coming and going and leaving, if there's a common thread. And also, you're looking, you already acknowledged that the statewide data that you keep your eye on in order to be somewhat competitive. But it doesn't make me feel very good that we might be at the bottom or not even in the middle.
Well, I think that that really just speaks to the need to take a look at these pay ranges every so often so that we can ensure that we're remaining competitive with comparable organizations. Again, not going to try to compete with the private sector. But I'll offer one of the things that was shared with me. I know that most of you probably interacted at one time or another with Chelsea Hardy. She's one of our attorneys that recently left. And, she had some interesting commentary for me upon leaving and saying, you do have a lot of things that you can market, one of which is the paid time off. And the fact that you all make it easy for us to actually take it. So we do have a lot of intangibles, I think, that come along. We obviously have a very generous benefits package as well that's not necessarily always, comparable with what you might find other places. But, I think that just some of the departures that we've seen just speaks to the need to stay on top of it and make sure that we're, staying commensurate with particularly other counties and local governments out there. Those are really the organizations that we compare ourselves to, not even necessarily other levels of government like the state or the federal government. We really look to other local governments as far as comparables. But, I think that, all in all, we really have a pretty stable staff in my office. I'll tell you that one of the things that we looked at in our budget this year is payouts for 2 very, very long-term employees that are going to be retiring. With about 35 years of experience. So, I don't think that there's a problem. I think that we just saw a couple of people leave this year because they found opportunities that were right for them. But again, we have quite a number of people. I'll tell you, I've got 25 years with the county myself next month. So we have quite a number of people that have been around for quite some time. And I think, Commissioner, you hit on some of what we see is that a lot of the folks that we get in our office, they're very committed to working for government. And very happy about their positions and some of the work that they get to do, because it is, it's a very unique position, I think, in the legal field. Everybody, when you hear about lawyers, you think about people going to court. And of the 20 lawyers, myself included in that 20, that we have on staff, there's only a handful of my lawyers that go to court regularly. And those are the folks that handle all the litigation for us. So we do get the opportunity to, have a little bit of a unique practice, given that the vast majority of us are really more like in-house counsel. But I do think that, I don't think that some of the turnover we've seen is anything other than just, they were right moves for, some of the people there. Some of them were in drop. Some of them we knew were going to be retiring. So I think that we have a very solid staff. And I will tell you, again, in my 25 years here with the county, I think that the staff we have in the county attorney's office right now, as a whole, we've obviously had a lot of great talent in the past as well. But I think looking at our office as a whole, it is the best performing office as a whole, again, that I've seen in all my 25 years here. So not to say that people we had in the past weren't great too, but just looking at the office, all 33 of us, I think this is the best staff we've had.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the opportunities of, whether it's in your office or other offices in the county, are going to be abundant in the years to come. I mean, I keep hearing the average age of our organization is in the 50s. So that, to me, when you're talking to young people that looking for opportunities, they're right here, and they're vast. I mean, the spectrum of opportunities that we have here and types of jobs and technical expertise that's required. And the ability to advance maybe a little bit quicker over time because of those opportunities of the age that folks are aging out, so to speak, is great. And I think we have some, maybe one of these days we can get our HR folks and just to talk a little bit about kind of that marketing effort that goes on in general.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, there's, like you said, there's some great opportunities here. Yes. Did you have anything? Okay.
Well, just to add to that conversation, workforce is the driving force that's going to make us strong today and tomorrow. We see that in economic development and working with companies, and we see that in government. And so, if we were a business, we'd have like 28 different entities, LLCs or whatever, and so they're very unique. And so the strategies for each one are unique. And so we're going to have to continue to work on that. We know in many areas we got to grow our own. Other areas we got to do a better job of doing outreach into engineers and healthcare professionals and IT folks and things like that. So there's each one requires a different strategy. We've been talking about that ever since I got here, and that hasn't let up. We're going to grow our own, and we got a lot of programs to bring kids right out of programs into jobs, and we need to do a better job with that, and we're going to continue to work on that. Very, very important.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions for Jewel? Okay, thank you. And I see the property appraiser is in the house, so we'll have you come up next. Good to see you, Mike. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
please.
it's yours.
Hit your microphone there, Mike. when
Hit
you
your
get a
mic,
chance.
yeah.
All right, we're live.
Yeah.
Good morning, all.
Good morning. Good to have you here.
I'm sorry I'm apparently late, even though I was early. I'm not used to, usually attorneys run long, so.
Yeah.
If you've had the chance to look at our budget documents that obviously end up being approved by Department of Revenue, you'll see that we had a modest increase of 2.5% overall, which is predominantly the general increase within our operation. The one shift you will see from personnel services, we reduced from our position count of 130 positions down to 129 because we had a deputy of IT that was our systems admin, and we relocated that essentially over to BTS. So we modified our service agreement with BTS and let them take that over so that we had some redundancy there. I didn't want just one system admin. I wanted it to be handled by a team that had 5 or 6 system admins in case we had an issue. So that caused that shift. So if you look back into our, let's see which line that's at. That was in our professional services, other contractual. You'll see that jumped up significantly, but that's because essentially it moved from one area into operating expense, moved from personnel services to operating. That was really the biggest flux within our office this past year. We did, we did obviously learn a lot over the last year, as many of us did, and it allowed us to actually get more efficient in a lot of areas. We had some time to do some more process improvement. We've actually gotten our homestead approval turnaround down because of the time we had to cross-train and get more people on board. Used to take several months to get those homestead applications approved, and now we're approving 80% of those within 48 hours. So the low-hanging fruit ones, we've got a system down. We've got staff that's not afraid to pick up the phone and call a property owner or email them, and we've cut down on a lot of time and a lot of mail costs as far as having to send letters back and forth, those types of things. The other thing we obviously learned, as many departments did, is that we were effectively able to deploy our staff in a pretty quick manner to efficiently work out of the office. That's important for us, particularly because we do help in the support for damage assessment. So we have 24 to 26 teams of 2 that we can put out in the field in support of damage assessment. So we're now set up to where if we need to send our staff home and be able to continue our operations and support, post-traumatic event, we're geared up to do so.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's pretty much it on my budget. I will have an item in the next few years that would likely be a bigger ask. Our CAMA system, which is our computer-assisted mass appraisal system, it's a heavy database, and it's our workflow and handles all of Florida exemptions, which Florida has the most complicated exemptions in the entire country. So most camera vendors don't even want to enter the state. So we don't have a whole lot to choose from as far as vendors, but there are some good ones out there, and their products are starting to mature, and I want to let them mature a little further before we pull the trigger on those. But when we do, those are big ticket items. Right now, that's about a $2.5 million item to replace a camera system based on our parcel count here in Pinellas County. But we're probably looking in the 2 to 3 year window to start that dance, because then we have to pull the trigger, then we have to run in parallel with both systems for a couple of years. Any questions on any budget items?
Yeah. Commissioner Long?
Yes, I was a little more, at what point, Mike, do you think you'll be able to talk with us a little more in detail about your camera system and what it does for you and how it makes us a little different from maybe other counties?
Well, basically, it holds all the parcel data for 436,000 parcels of real property, and then all the tangible personal property accounts. But then it also handles all how the Save Our Homes cap math works with each parcel, which can get quite complex, all the various exemptions that can lay on there, the workflow to keep the communication between exemptions and appraisal and mapping, all of those functions. It's kind of the heartbeat of our office. GIS is integrated into there as well. So it's got a lot of moving parts, but we have to delicately move from the older system that we have, because we had a core system, and our staff built a lot of kind of bolt-on additions to it, a lot of customization. So when we start to move away from it, it's going to be a bit painful, because we'll have to either move to something that we don't have to recreate the bolt-on because it already exists in the new product, but a lot of them that we've seen so far don't, and we have some special circumstances where we will have to migrate some of that stuff over. So at the end of the day, what that means is my staff really doesn't want to change camera systems.
David?
They're all threatening retirement. So.
David? So, and then switching gears, I wonder if you can give us any update on the projections for our property values going forward, given the incredible market that's out there right now with sales and the price
Right.
of homes and availability, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, as we all know, supply is incredibly tight, the tightest we've ever seen in this market in my 30 years. I think that's going to continue for some, at least through the end of this year. Probably it's still going to maintain a fairly tight number. We'll start, I think, into next year that you'll start to see some calming. It's been a big musical chairs, essentially real estate shuffle around the entire country. It's not just here. So now that we're moving forward with the vaccinations, people are going to start to settle down and not be as antsy about, fleeing the state or running out into the country. So we'll start to see some calming there. And as we start to get a little bit more supply, we're already seeing listing prices. People are asking for the moon, and they're starting to sit out there a little bit longer. So you'll start to see some supply that'll start to build. But right now, our supply number of active listings is still about half of the normal amount. So that's really what's overheating. Demand far outpaces what is available out there right now. So we just have to keep watching that. Obviously, any fluctuation upward of interest rates can start to, turn that spigot off fairly quickly. So all those things we just have to watch. I think we're going to continue to be a strong market through 2022, and then we may go back to a more normalized type of growth pattern.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions for Mike? Okay. Okay, well, we need to start squirreling some money away for you, and we can get that.
Well, I will say, Commissioners, remember we talked about with Jeff, the need for that strategic plan, really looking to where, both from a capacity standpoint for him to help implement, but also from a budgeting standpoint of us really looking at all of our major systems and the timing of those replacements. Because if you look across the county, there's a lot and things like that are
Right.
very, very unique. And so we have to work and kind of come up with a schedule that both we can afford and we can support in those implementations.
Yeah, I just wanted to put it on your radar because I'm outside of, what BTS can necessarily plug
Oh,
into
okay,
their
yeah.
long-term capital planning budget there. So,
Yeah, I forgot about
yeah,
that, Mike.
this-
You did
this one
mention that.
is- Yep. The other thing, I wanted to thank you all for your support of the legislation that I championed this year, and it successfully has made it through and is going to be on the ballot on November of 2022 in the general election, and that's the elevation of residential properties. That legislation made it through successfully, and I appreciate you all realizing that that was a priority for not only Pinellas County, but also for the entire state of Florida. So thank you.
Yeah, great work, Mike. Thank you. Anything else for Mike? Okay, Mike, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, we'll do a little deck shuffling here and bring Cecilia, and I guess Cecilia up first, and then Jackie, and we'll talk about general government and then move to capital.
Morning and welcome.
Good morning. I'm Cecilia McCorkle with the Office of Management and Budget, and I'm going to walk through the general fund. And this time I will actually be using the document and walking through that a little bit as opposed to what you've seen this morning. I also have with me Jim Abernathy, who will help answer questions if you have some. He is our lead analyst for the general fund. So opening the first document on your Granicus item, I just want to remind you that these values that you're seeing here are as of June 1st. So the budget has changed since and will continue to do so as we refine it for the July 13th proposed budget presentation. Also, I have removed the $170 million CARES Act and the Emergency Rental Assistance Program funding from these dollars, just so we don't skew the numbers and you can see really what our trend is. So this first table on the first page is our resources for the general fund. You'll see here that it includes our fund balance, our beginning fund balance, as well as our revenues that are projected. Our largest change budget to budget is the beginning fund balance, which is increasing by $66.5 million. That is mainly caused by two things. First would be the strategic planning that we did as far as developing our FY21 budget and essentially adopting a two-year budget, keeping our fund balance and reserve levels higher than we normally would have and adopting the budget well above our policy level in anticipation that we could have an impact from the COVID on our revenue. And the other increase that you're seeing here is over $30 million was brought forth into FY21 as unanticipated lapse from FY20. And this is due to departments projecting to spend more during our budget 21 budget development than they actually spent during FY20. So those dollars also rolled forward, giving us a large increase for our fund balance for FY22. Also wanted to point out that our taxes are increasing by 6.8%. And if you're following the document, I'm speaking to what's on page 2, but to the numbers on page 1. Our taxes are increasing by 6.8%, and this is mostly our ad valorem taxes for countywide and MSTU, but also includes the delinquent taxes and redemptions, as well as our communication services tax. That's why you'll see a slightly larger percentage increase in the total taxes, as opposed to the increases by our taxable values, which were 6.2 increase to our countywide taxable values and a 4.9 increase to our MSTU taxable values.
Go ahead.
I said this the last time. I find this very difficult when there's no screen up there that you can refer to Because I know you said what pages you were referencing, but I don't see those numbers at all. I don't know what I'm looking at that's wrong.
So on your,
That's the page right there.
on your general
What?
government, your general government BIS document, we're on, it's really the numbers from the first page. It's a table.
1 of 5, page
Of
1
all
of
of the
5.
different.
Page what?
1 of 5.
Yeah, I'm on 1 of
Yeah,
5.
That's it. That's what they're looking at.
Okay. All right, I'm so sorry.
No, it's
That's
all right.
okay.
Thank
I'm-
you.
I'm happy to clarify if you have questions. Other changes I wanted to note within the revenue of the general fund is we have increases built in, 8.6% increase to the half-cent sales tax as well as the revenue sharing. And as we've discussed previously, that 8.6% increase is really getting close to resetting where our normal trend of those revenues are. It's not necessarily a huge increase from our norm. Those revenues are actually part of the intergovernmental revenue line that you see on that table. And that also includes, and intergovernmental also includes all of the grants that we have coming into the general fund. So it's a sufficiently large category of revenue there.
Cecilia, on the, back to the taxes that you're talking about here, this is based on Mike's information that we're getting?
The ad valorem would be,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with any millage issues that we'll be talking about later? We're keeping the millage right where it is in this assumption?
This is keeping it as it is right
Okay.
now.
All right. Because, I mean, that's one of the issues that we're going to, I'm
It-
sure we'll be addressing.
Well, and what happens is you look at what come in this year, okay, and now we're projecting now, but then we'll be talking about next year and what that rate will be to be able to cover the necessary expenses. So that's when we'll discuss that after we present the budget next month.
I'm not sure I followed that, Barry.
Okay, so she's got projected, this is in essence flat revenue.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so if you did in essence, a rollback rate, he's going to then allow a millage that will be allowed if you kept the same rate. So we're going to show you all of those.
I understand.
As part of
You're
that
talking about
chart.
next month?
Correct.
Okay.
She's just going over, here's, just basics, here's the numbers.
But this is based on, as I asked you, it's based
On
on
the
the
current
current
millage rate,
millages
yes.
and what we're anticipating in growth.
Yes.
Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
growth plus the current millage
At the
rate.
current millage rate, yeah.
Okay, at the bottom of page 2, I'm going to move on to the expenditures for the general fund, and the table's labeled requirements. And this is all of the expenditures within the general fund. Again, does not include CARES or emergency rental assistance program funding. Also does not include any proposed decision packages. This is representative of the department's the department's budget submissions at this time. So you'll see that the personal services have increased by 2.7%, and that's actually comprised of our pay adjustments, some career path and ladder adjustments that we have across the different departments in the general fund. Operating expenses are increasing by 1.2%, which is significantly lower than what we had projected in our CPI increase in our February forecast. And I also want to mention and remind you that none of the county administrator departments or independent agencies within the general fund were given a target for FY22. So part of keeping this down is the departments not being given that target and being asked to try to accomplish their goals within their current appropriation levels. And trying to do so has really kept those expenditures under control for the last couple of years.
Okay, Cecilia, I think that's a really great point that you just, could you say that again? So I think it needs emphasis.
Sure. So in prior years, before last year, we had provided targets to each of the departments, which was usually synonymous with our CPI growth. The last 2 years, we have not done that. We've asked departments to try to live within their means, basically, see what they can realign from resources, provide, find efficiencies within their departments as opposed to just being given a across-the-board increase. And that's really helped keep our expenditures growth down, which has actually helped contribute to our fund balance, our healthy fund balance.
Go ahead, Barry. Did you have a comment?
Well, you'll see it all in one picture next month when we kind of roll all the budget together. But you haven't seen very many requests from departments. You haven't seen too many requests for new positions or program increases through your decision packages. But it's hard to see them kind of one by one. Well, next month you'll see them kind of all together. Here are all the different decision packages, and our departments, our constitutional officers, everybody's doing a really, I think, very good job at keeping those requests down. There's some areas where there's some pent-up demand. We're going to address those next month. But Cecilia's point, you're not seeing a lot. And even we used to build in an inflationary factor, and we took that out. Now it's everybody justifies everything, and we're really trying to find efficiencies to cover your increased cost. And so that's I think you're seeing kind of that come out in each individual department. You'll kind of see it all next month, but as we kind of roll it up together. But they're really trying hard to keep their expenditures in check. And I think, to what we even heard from the courts and stuff today, really try to use what we've learned through the pandemic to find efficient ways of doing business differently. And we're all trying to do that. And, it's taken us a little time, and I think you'll see more to come on that over the next year or so.
And really, at the bottom, the expenditure total going up is really about the planned reserve increase that we in looking at this 2-year budget, trying to make sure that without knowing what was going to be happening. I mean, there was a lot of unknowns, so I think that was a protection device in there, and I know we'll be addressing that also in the next 30 days.
We are, and I've been very careful not to say too much, because until we kind of roll this together, it's you want to be very careful in what you say. But I will tell you, we're in really good shape, and it's because we reduced our expenditures last year. We reduced the amount we spend, and in addition to having salary increases, you still were down about 8% in the Board of Commissioner departments. And so with that, we've seen our reserve levels increase, and so we're going to talk to you about reducing the burden on taxpayers and rolling some of that back. And so we're going to try to be fiscally responsible, and that'll be part of bringing all the budget together to you next month.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, go ahead.
So just to clarify what you just said, so I don't misunderstand you. When you said, you talked about us being in a very healthy position, and so are our reserves. And we've done that purposely because we had no idea where we were going.
Right.
In these very uncertain times. So when you said we want to be able to help our citizens and roll that back, are you talking about rolling back the reserve number, or are you talking about rolling back the millage?
Rolling back the millage to some amount to where you use some of your reserve levels, you draw down on your reserves to cover that cost. And again, because so just to be real blunt, it shows a 6.8% if we kept the rate the same. Well, that we could keep the rate the same, but that is taking more from our residents, and we're trying to cut our cost. We're trying to reduce our cost or keep that in check, and so we're not going to ask for that. I'm not going to recommend that. I want to recommend something a lot less than that, and that's what we're working on right now.
And I know, excuse me, Commissioner Flowers. No, I think, go ahead. Are you finished?
Yeah, he
Okay.
answered my
Yeah, go
question.
ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, for example, we provided the sheriff's office the additional dollars out of our general fund for the cameras
Right.
and the technology and all that will go along with that. So when he comes this year for a budget, he's going to be including that in his overall regular budget. So it would no longer come from general revenue, correct?
Well, it will come because it's an ongoing cost of about $4 million, $4.5 million, and that's an ongoing cost.
So it'll just be shifted over from general fund,
It'll
shifted
just
over
be
to his
built
budget?
into his budget, but there's no question, there was like a decision package that we did early because he come to us and requested, and so we took that out of reserves, but then we have to build that $4 million into our ongoing operating costs.
Okay, that's where I'm going. So even for like the, I think it's page 3, yeah, 1, 2, 3. On page 3 where, right before, well, right at the first little bullet, when it talks about the potential 2.7% increase for pay adjustments. So, for example, with what Attorney White was talking about
Correct.
with Human Resources doing a comp at a low, mid, and high, and then hopefully coming up with something somewhere in between. So potentially, if she requested or suggested, her request could be a little bit more than the 2.7% that we are potentially looking at allocating if we decide to bring them up to a level that will be a little bit more competitive.
Correct.
Okay, and that would come from the general.
Well, it would come from the general fund. Most likely, that would be done sometime, not in time for impacting this year's budget, and then we would have to build that into future budgets. We really need to look in several areas on that to make sure we're competitive. But we're building in some of those career paths, and we kind of do that as an ongoing basis, and then we plan for that in the following year's budget.
Okay. I over the years, working both on the city, school board, and now here, I don't have a problem with, especially giving back to residents, any amount that we can give back to them when we see that we are healthier, especially during this time when we see that we're healthier. I think they would like that. And we've seen a couple of emails where they've given us some suggestions on what they think we should do and where the money should come from. I've always been very cautious of zero-based budgeting
Yep.
and going back to the rollback rate, because things happen. And if you go back to the rollback rate, what that is saying is I'm going to get the same amount of money I got last year.
Right.
But some of the other expenditures that we have will continue to increase because we're subject to the market like everybody else. So I do support, let's look at what we're doing and where we are. I'm just saying this overall, and I won't say this again. I'm supportive of that and giving whatever type of savings we can pass along. But I just wanted to share that for everyone's knowledge. That's my interpretation, and I've always been just very leery of that. Especially with hurricane season coming, you can never tell. I hope nothing happens, but you can never tell what'll happen and what we'll have to do to get our own selves back up going, let alone, trying to help our constituents.
I appreciate that, Commissioner. I really do, because we want to plan not just for today, but into the future. And we certainly don't want to be in a position of rolling back and then, having to, move forward. So we're looking at this over a 5-year period. And so we're going to bring that, and we're going to talk about that when we kind of bring this all together. And so I'm not going to ask you to put yourself in a position to where we can't respond to disasters, to where we can't respond, or that we have some predictability. And looking at that, looking at how we use American Rescue Funds, looking at how that impacts doing some of these resources and things like that are very important, and they all kind of come together. I was just really commenting because when you look at, and we're going over numbers, and you're only seeing the revenue side to this, the 6.8%, I just want you to know that's not where I'm at in terms of my recommendation, but I can assure you we're going to take a very long-term approach to where we don't in any way put ourselves in a position not being able to plan for the future.
You finished? Okay. Commissioner Seal, did you?
Yes, and thank you very much. And it is kind of I'm very proud of where this county has gone as far as having the level of reserves. I mean, it was very deliberate to try to program that so that we would be in a healthier position. I mean, going back 21 years ago, we were not in the same position that we are today. So that being said, I'd like to, when we do have that 5-year budget conversation and talk about the rollback rate, I'd also like to talk about the gas tax at that point, because I'm not sure I'm favorably inclined towards rolling back the millage rate and increasing a gas tax. I mean, to me, that's not, I mean, maybe it's time to talk about addressing our transportation trust fund going forward into the future and being very deliberate about that as well. So I look forward to that conversation. I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. Thanks.
Thank you. I agree with Seal.
Well, I think just the whole point is that this 2-year period was looked at in a very unique way. We don't normally look at 2-year operating budgets I mean, not that you don't think ahead
Right.
like that, but in terms of producing the ideas, we're pretty straightforward about being uncertain, really, where we were heading. And so I think a couple of commissioners have made that comment. So we just have some adjustments to do on our reserve levels. I mean, we try to operate somewhere in that 15% range. That's our policy, our general. So I think that's the point here. We're not trying to necessarily do a rollback rate. We're just trying to get fiscally responsible, continue to be fiscally responsible at the end of this 2-year window that we started. I mean, I think that's really the piece that we're looking at. And then, of course, looking forward. And I do agree with you. We do have to take into account all of the issues. And I think that's what we're hopefully going to see next month.
That's correct.
Commissioner Gerard?
Well, I would agree. I'm very proud of this administration for where we are right now. I think it was pretty scary a year ago or a year and a half ago. And this is wonderful, and I'm very pleased that we're going to be able to roll back to a certain extent, if not all the way. But yeah, I agree, the Transportation Trust Fund is an issue. I'm hopeful that we can use some of the federal rescue funds to shift some costs from one place to another. If, I'm not even sure that's possible, but,
It is in
to get some things
certain
taken
areas.
care of that we would like to, so.
And I've talked to each one of you about, it's going to take us time on the American Rescue Funds. We want to be very deliberate, and we want to have long-term impacts, rather than just throwing money out at, certain areas. I think we got to be really deliberate in that. There are certain areas where we can shore up some funds, like Transportation Trust Fund, but that's only a small amount. The guidelines are pretty strict, and we're going through those. But again, more to come on that. But and I didn't want to get into a whole big, conversation about the budget, but it was just important when we're talking about the numbers and we're throwing out percentages that we're just outlining the possibilities. This is going to become a lot clearer, and there's a lot of decisions to make, and we're a month out from that.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
Okay, Cecilia.
The next large change you'll see in the expenditures is the transfer to other funds, and that's decreasing by 34.4%, or a little over $2 million. The major contributor to that is we are halting our annual contribution from the general fund. We typically transfer $2 million to the Employee Benefits Fund for OPEB. We've done an analysis of the Employee Benefits Fund and feel like the reserve levels are actually overly sufficient for what we need to, so that we don't need to continue to contribute at this level every year. So we've backed that out of the 21 estimate as well as FY22.
But I want to be clear on what this is. This has nothing to do with the benefits we provide to our employees. It's an actual liability that was created, and we've been funding it up for, in my opinion, no reason. It's another reserve level. In case the county went bankrupt, the liabilities you have out on future retirees and the difference in cost of what we charge our employees to retire, because retirees can pay at the same rate even though they draw at a higher amount. It's that gap. And so it's an actual thing that was done for companies that, went out of business. And so anyway, it has, and actually Ken Burke and I have discussed it. He's in agreement. So there's no risk here. There's no liability. It's an extra reserve fund, in my opinion. And we're not going to continue to do that.
Yeah, I think that's a good message that we need to just keep reminding folks when we have this conversation what that means, really, because there's no concerns here at all.
Yeah, I didn't want employees thinking we're not putting money into our benefits fund, because that's the name of it. That's not, it's completely separate. We're fully budgeting our benefits.
Commissioner Gerard?
Well, I think if Clerk Burke says it's okay, then then I think it's okay. He's pretty conservative.
Very.
Commissioner Seal?
Cecilia, you may have already mentioned this, but I was looking at the narrative. The excess fees for the constitutional officers, why is it decreasing so much?
So, and the revenues?
Yes.
We
one.
typically receive more in our actuals than what we budget. We really only budget for the tax collector because they consistently give us an amount each year that's in that general range of what you'd see if you were comparing budgets for 18, 19, and 20. So we don't want to overestimate that because we're not always guaranteed to get at that level in there, but we typically receive a little bit more in. And in some cases, like with the sheriff, we'll get excess fees, but then he may need to reappropriate that in the future years. So that washes out next year anyway. So we budget conservatively with that.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm back on page 2 at the bottom as far as the table is concerned. The constitutional officer transfers that you see there, just want to remind you that we did provide the targets for the constitutional officers for FY22. And you've heard some of them say that they've come in below that. So I just wanted to acknowledge that those reflect the transfers to many of the constitutional officers. So that would be the supervisor of elections, the clerk, the sheriff, the property appraiser, and the tax collector in that line. And then finally, here's our reserves. I do want to just remind you that our reserve level right now in this document is at 34.9%, but again, that will change as we have those future discussions.
And that does include, that includes the expenses in this, that we're talking about in this year's budget for the sheriff body cameras?
Yes, that is included in the
The-
21 estimate and 22
Right, the
budget.
upfront capital that was
Yes.
required? Yes? Okay.
Yes, that was all
And-
included.
Yeah,
Okay.
that includes the recurring cost as well for
For this-
22.
For 20,
Yeah,
okay.
that's been built into his budget. So, for instance, we don't have the body cameras as a decision package because we already made that decision.
Right.
So we built that into his 22 budget.
And that's actually a good point to make, that when we do the targets, we back out non-recurring items that may have been approved in the prior year before we increase it. But also, we do try to include anything that has been approved in the meantime that may be recurring, as to not absorb that additional increase that we're giving them. So that was my discussion of the general fund overall. I am going to move on to page 4 to talk about the general government department, which is really a non-department. This is a compilation of various expenditures that benefit most departments and agencies and don't really have one department that they would live in. So if you see this table on page 4, there's not a lot of change in the general government for FY22. One thing I wanted to note is that personal services line that you see there, that is related to the unemployment claims that are filed against the county. So you'll see 18 and 19 actuals are much lower than what we see in 20 actuals and the estimate and 22 request. And that's due to the change in the eligibility, the number of weeks that folks who file for unemployment are eligible to receive. So it used to be 12 weeks, and in 21 it changed to 19. We do expect that that will go back down sometime in 22, and that's why you see it starting to creep back down in our FY22 request. Our operating expenditures are increasing close to about $1.5 million. That's due to expecting the space study to be completed this fiscal year, so it's not budgeted for in 22. And also, there was a $500,000 appropriation for KPMG related to the behavioral health, the CAM, which has actually been realigned to the Human Services Department, so that's a decrease in this department. And then the grants and aids is predominantly our tax increment financing, and that is, let me see, that's $22.8 million is the part of that grants and aids. That's actually a 5.8% increase over the 21 budget. It does include the first payment for the Pinellas Park redevelopment area, so that will be the first year we've included that one. And then I also wanted to note that other items that come out of that would be our Creative Pinellas, that we have an ongoing contribution to them that comes out of general government in that account. It's $145,000 per year. Plus, it also includes the ongoing Pinellas, Creative Pinellas BP project, with the Traveling Arts Program. And speaking of BP, I wanted to give you a brief update from that. I know it's been probably been a while since we talked about it, but of the 30-ish projects that were approved, we were down to only 2. The rest of them have been completed. The Seminole Youth Sports Master Plan is expected to be completed this fiscal year, and the Creative Pinellas Traveling Art Project is expected to be completed by next September 22. And that's been maintained through the General Government Cost Center this time. And then finally, within general government, we have the MSTU appropriation, and this is the $220,000 annual contribution to the special projects for the unincorporated area. So we have continued that level of funding, plus we have incorporated approximately $535,000 in unspent prior year funding. We'll true up that estimate a little closer to adopting the budget, but that's what's in the appropriation at this current time for those MSTU projects.
Cecilia, I'm sorry.
Sure.
Someone was speaking in my ear at the moment that you were talking about that one. So if you could back up and say
Absolutely,
that again.
I'll go back over that. So the MSTU budget within the general government cost center, we've continued the $220,000 annual appropriation for the special projects in the unincorporated area. And then we have also estimated about $535,000 in unspent prior year funds, including 21, that we're also reappropriating into FY22. So right now for 22, we're projecting a $755,000 allotment.
You're appropriating it, that extra money, you're appropriating it, again, definition, you're moving it to somewhere else.
We're carrying it forward year over year.
Carrying it forward.
So I guess that was my question. We're not, obviously, we're building this, continuing to build that.
Continuing to build that. You had about 535,000 left after this year, but next year we're still adding the 220 that you've normally provided that. That gives you a total amount of 750.
And so that, again, will be presented next month, and we can talk about whether to
Correct.
do that or not, to continue doing that for next year.
That's correct.
With those reserves, we could use, I call it reserves, but extra monies that have built up. Okay.
It's actually a good point that you make. We don't have to put another 220,000 in if that's your decision. We've put that in because that's been the commissioner's direction.
Right.
But that's a choice that you can certainly make.
Okay, thank you. Any comments? Okay.
Okay, and that was really all I had planned to walk through, but I did want to draw your attention to the attachments on the Granicus item. We did provide the list of consulting projects that was requested in our last series of BIS, so I just wanted to make you aware that that was part of this attachment.
Yeah, I really like this summary. It's kind of nice to see all of the different, because we talk about individually all the time, but to see them, collectively together, I kind of have to think back as to where we are in the process of each one of them. But thank you. Appreciate pulling that together. Anybody? Question?
Well, actually, it's just nice to get it all in one place about everything that's going on. We have a lot of projects.
We have a lot going on.
Yeah. But, again, I think this is probably a nice qualitative discussion to have, just a brief one to just kind of remind everybody the areas that we are working on to try to improve. I mean, at the end of the day, we're trying to make, the building department process better for our residents and contractors. We're trying, so it's always about trying to improve deliveries. And I think some of this work, or all of this work, is really directed at that.
Yeah, and the use of consultants is obviously a kind of a dirty word, and people, but I will tell you, like the work that we're doing on our permit process, having that third set of eyes and the experience of bringing from around the country, we would have never made the improvements that we have right now. And they've done it while implementing a new permitting system and everything else, and having record levels of permit requests as everybody's remodeling. But there's some real system improvements there that are going to have long-lasting impacts. And so these are not studies that sit on a shelf. They're implementation documents that help us improve our process. Each one of them. The space study, I will tell you, it's coming to you. That's a huge effort, something that we do, once in a generation. I will tell you, at the end of the day, we're going to need less space than we do today. And that's projecting growth for the future, and we will still need less space. So there's real changes, and when we get done with that, we'll operate more efficiently. And so there's reasons that you have people that can focus on things like that brings that expertise to help you figure out kind of that direction of where you're going.
Barry, just real quickly on the, this project is kind of stands on its own, but you all are also looking at all of the properties that we own that aren't being, quote, utilized. That's a different internal study, really.
Yes. There's literally hundreds, of properties, but you're going to really focus in on some of the major areas, downtown St. Pete, downtown, there. We have some rental properties and things like that where we have a lot of people. But we also own lots of properties for affordable housing, or other types of things that is kind of a separate process.
But we're still working through that process.
We're still working through that process.
Commissioner Long.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Barry, again, I don't know if this is the right venue to ask this question, but right before the pandemic, we had talked about really embarking on a renovation of I think it was the 5th floor at the courthouse and our chamber that we have our meetings in, et cetera, et cetera. And recently you touched on it a little bit, but I'm not exactly sure where we landed and if you've made any decisions about moving forward with that, or where are we?
Some things take longer than I would like, but so the real issue with the 5th floor is having sufficient workspace, like we're having here, to be able to bring departments up to where we can have conversations about issues. Rather than the kind of the formalized structure. And if you recall, we went to move the back wall out, and then that triggered fire codes and lots of cost. And so then we looked for a different alternative. Well, we've dusted that off, and we're trying to find if there's a way of doing that space in a cheaper manner, creating that space over at the communications area. They're getting me some cost estimates and some designs. I don't have those yet. So I want to see that if that's feasible before I present something to you. But that's where we're at.
So is that just for are you talking about for our offices, or are you talking about for our meetings?
For our meetings, for the Thursday work sessions is what that would be for. And then we'd have our Tuesday sessions back at our space until we have new space. It's taken us a lot longer on the space plan than I thought. Of course, then again, I didn't think we would have a pandemic in the middle of it. But, the getting that space plan, that's when we really look at new space, what our offices would look like in a future state. And so then that's a real opportunity to really incorporate what our future needs are, technology, everything else. And we'll have a lot more discussion on that. So they're going to be bringing back ideas on space plan. Then we're going to get into those details of each and every office and what the needs are, in the future and things like that.
Well, I hate to belabor the point, but don't you think we need to have a conversation about what we are doing with that building? Because the last conversation we had about that, there was talk about how the windows on the outside of the building needed to be replaced.
Right.
The facing on the outside of the building was falling off. There were huge issues with our air conditioning, heat, et cetera, et cetera. And before we embark on spending good money to renovate or create another space, don't we have to address the building as a whole?
Well, the building is there. It's been there for a long time.
Yeah,
And
I know.
it'll last us a little bit longer. I agree with you. It's not the most efficient use of space. It's certainly not the most energy efficient. However, you invested a lot of money several years ago, in your plant, your central plant there. But we're looking. That's the reason I didn't want to spend a lot of money on the idea of a conference space. I heard from several of you were concerned about the cost, and so we're trying to take that into consideration. But until we can talk about downtown campus, I really need to know where we're going. And whether that's, when we were originally talking about it, it was actually in your penny to, build a new central campus, somewhere in some configuration. At that time, it was just a idea rather than a project. The space plan will kind of inform us as to what that looks like. Do you want your permit center to be part of government campus, or do you want one north and one south? How do you want your human services to function? You got different types of functions. And security in your building would be different than you don't want certain functions inside that security footprint. So there's a lot of things to consider that the space plan will address. And then when we get through that space plan and we have those types of conversations, and we have agreed upon direction, now we can talk about what we would do with the current campus. I've had those conversations with the city. We're going to work in partnership with them with whatever we decide. But I need to know what that looks like from a space plan, planning standpoint before I can come back and really talk about it. I don't know what to say at this point because I don't know where we're going.
Yeah, and I think, and we'll have a brief discussion on Tuesday, about, bringing, we said we'd come back and talk in the June meeting, the second meeting in June, about bringing our commission meetings back to the courthouse in August. That was we talked the end of June about August, and so we'll have that conversation. Still,
On the 22nd, yeah.
Excuse me, yeah, on the 22nd. And then we'll have the conversation about where we want to do workshops. We can do this. I think, Barry, you had made the comment to me that we're planning to keep this facility available and operable for us or for MPO that meets here, the TDC that meets here, or our workshops if we don't find that other alternative, and you still want to have a televised workshop that provides kind of a round table discussion, that's still going to be available. So those kind of conversations, we'll have a brief one on Tuesday to talk about bringing us back to the courthouse in August.
We can do that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Anything else on?
I just wanted to add, as far as the consulting, all of the consulting engagements are accessible through our Socrata dashboards. So it charts the progress of those particular items. So just reminding you that that's out there as an opportunity.
Thank you.
Commissioners, next up we're going to move into the capital budget. If you wanted to take a break or something, now would be kind of an appropriate time.
Let's do that. I'm assuming that, huh? Yeah. 11:30? Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and take a break now. The food's going to be here at 11:30, so.
Well, or we can keep going. It's up to you. It's up to you.
You want to keep going till 11:30, and then we'll take a break?
Okay.
In the middle of that.
How long will the capital improvement program take? Yeah, it's.
I can't hear him.
What?
You're not on speaker there.
You're
Bill.
not on speaker.
If you'd like, we can cover OMB's presentation of our actual budget, which is scheduled for Friday, to fill a gap right now. It shouldn't take more than 15, 20 minutes.
Okay. Makes sense.
If you want to do that. I was just looking through the slides. The capital improvement's going to take a few minutes.
Capital improvement's going to take a little while. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of discussion. I don't want us to kind of get betwixt and between on that.
Thank you. I think that's a good idea. Let's do the OMB now, and then we'll take a break.
Okay.
How's that?
Yep.
You can just give us a few minutes for Aubrey to be able to make her way from the back room.
Okay, now so if you're looking it up on your screen, this will be on your Friday's presentations. Okay, so you'll have to navigate from there.
Oh, it's the very last presentation of the last day, Bill. So we can we'll be done
He
sooner.
wanted you nice and tired before you got to his budget,
Give you an opportunity to get out a little bit early on Friday for Father's Day weekend.
Very nice. I knew you were thinking ahead.
Whenever you're ready, Bill.
Cecilia is actually going to walk us through this along with Aubrey.
Okay. All right, so did everybody find the document in your Granicus? Okay, so hopefully you know our department purpose by,
Comes back. We'll
wait a
remind
moment.
her. Yeah,
Okay.
when she comes. No, it's okay. We'll go ahead. Just remind her where we are when she comes in, just so she can get on board.
Okay. So our department purpose sounds very simple here, but we try to be an honest broker for budget finance and strategic performance. That includes a lot of things that we do. Under the executive summary on the first page, I'd like to kind of draw your attention to this because we've been doing a lot of things aside from just developing budgets and BIS sessions. Over the course of the year, we've implemented a new budget software that we used for budget development this year called Questica. We also have continued developing Socrata, which is our performance management tool that I just referenced in our prior discussion. And also, we trying to continue to automate performance for CityWorks and Excel projects. I also want to point out that our staff has logged over 4,600 hours, and these are paid hours for COVID response. We have a large number of exempt employees who have spent additional hours working on COVID response, which aren't easily trackable in our system. I'll give you a moment to catch up. Okay. So I'm still on page 1. I'm just at the very bottom when I want to talk about our staffing summary. So we have no change from FY21 to 22, but I just want to remind you that in 21 we had 4 folks, a net of decrease of 4 FTE who moved from two administrative services into the procure to pay division of procurement and risk management. Onto page 2 is our budget summary. And you see we're mostly people, just like what Jewel mentioned with her department. We have a 3.9% increase in personal services from the 21 budget to 22. And this is predominantly the pay adjustment and some just turnover that we've had and filling new positions. Our expenditure budget is increasing for operating expenditures. You'll see the FY21 estimate a little bit higher than 21 budget, and that's because we are budgeting to engage a consultant, which was listed under TBD on the last document that you saw. And this is to look at our organizational alignment within the county. We wear a lot of hats at this point, and we're going to try to revisit that and make sure that we're aligning our resources what best suits the county overall. And throughout the analysis,
I'm sorry, Commissioner Flowers, Jim.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a suggestion. If we have several departments that are going to be looking at aligning their departments for efficiencies and looking at also salary, instead of each department doing their own, I think it may be a good idea to look at one entity to do that across spectrums. It would be potentially a cost savings, and that could be a agency or organizational-wide study versus everybody doing their own incremental piece. Because typically, SHRM or other organizations that may look at this can look at all departments. They're not looking at specificity, they're looking at your overall staffing.
So
I'm
there's-
just suggesting.
I'm sorry. There's 2 issues that are occurring here. One would be kind of a compensation study that would look to make sure our compensation, that will do organization-wide. And I think Rodney put in funding to be able to do that next year. Yes? Okay. And so we're going to work with HR on looking at our salaries and benefits and making sure we stay competitive with the market. So that's one piece that we will do across the board. Okay. Separately, this is like having somebody comes in that understands, finance and budget operations, and how do we How do we have our staffing structure? How do we interact with the departments? What type of work is done within the departments versus what work is done centrally? And we have kind of a combination of both. So we have analysts that are full service that are the finance person for the department, and we have ones where we're just a budget person and they have their own finance person within the department. And so it was Bill's suggestion that they be one of the areas to look at. We've done that, and you've seen that in a few areas and so each one's kind of, the firm has to have the specialty work to be able to do that type of analysis. So it's kind of a combination, but we will look, and so if I have 2 or 3 departments, we may package those together and they look at that depending upon the type of work that they do.
Okay. And then going down to the turnover for budget and analysts, in fiscal year 20, I wasn't here, so I'm sorry I'm asking the question. There was 4. Was that because a particular program or service was discontinued that we had that many, or it just so happens to have been that many?
It just so happens to be that many.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Long?
Point, though, it does speak to the impact of increasingly high workloads threatens work quality, professional development, staff engagement, and has resulted in a rise in staff turnover since FY19. So I'm assuming that all of this conversation we just finished is an effort to address that, correct? Thank you. Okay. Well, and I have one more thing, if I may. I hope that there's a firmer grasp of whatever study we do that's a little more employee-oriented than the last one we did that resulted in such a kerfluffle with so many people. And on top of that, took forever to finish. And it feels to me like in a lot of ways, we're just going back to back right on top of what they just finished.
Oh, no, we're not.
Okay, I'm just wanting to make sure that we've got our fingers on the pulse of, I mean, we do care what our citizens, our employees are focused on, right?
Well, yeah, for Commissioner Flowers, Commissioner Peters, the word here, when they began that study, they began a study called Evergreen a couple years before I got here. And
it went on forever.
And so, yeah, I mean, Evergreen's a big word, and people had all kinds of names for that. I mean, because it was rolled out so poorly, okay? And it was rolled out so poorly by the previous HR administration. And we worked really hard our first year to address many issues as a result of that study. We now have implemented the pay equity adjustments necessary to put people in the right classification. We now have career ladders in most areas, not all. That again, that was supposed to be part of a phase 2. There are a lot of requests for audits of their departments to see if they were properly classified. That's ongoing, and that's going to take time for Kimberly and her team to kind of get through. We're never going back to that, and if we did do it, it wasn't evergreen. It was the way it was done, and there was a shield between our employees and the firm, and you had people standing in the middle that shuffled paper rather than get out and talk to people in the departments and find out what they did. It was very poorly implemented, and so, yeah, we're never going to go back to that. I think we've tried to address the problems within the study. What we're talking about now is all those issues. Once we get people set in their proper classifications, and then there's a process for, let's say, duties change, and we add more duties that they can appeal to have their job re-looked at and see if it's properly classified. So as we have those pieces in place, which we do, it's just taking us time for Kimberly and her new team to kind of, get through that backlog, then we still need to do these compensation studies to make sure that that those classifications are right, because that changed. When they did the Evergreen study, for instance, that by the time they used the data was 3 years old. Okay, and so think about 911 operators and things like that. Well, no wonder our turnover rate was so great. So we bumped those up, So we're trying to address it, not as much as we need to, but we're trying to address it and then get data to be able to make future decisions. But that's the issue. Evergreen was poorly implemented. It wasn't their system. It was the way we implemented it. I mean, everybody can point fingers. I think it was on us. Okay, it's the same concepts. I've implemented a number of pay plans. I've never seen one where there was lack of direct communication with our employees and engagement. If you don't understand the job, how can you classify it? I firmly believe if you could write well, then you probably got it classified. If you couldn't, well, then they classified from what they knew, and they didn't really know stuff because they weren't in the departments. And so we've worked hard to fix those. But that took the entire first year I was here. That's the reason Rodney's here, is so we could address some of those. And we're going to go out with another round now that we can get back in person and have employee forums. Rod's out in the departments all the time. I addressed the EAC here recently. I think we've addressed a lot of those. But real clearly, our employees are our most valuable asset. I'm fully committed to making sure that we have a compensation system that reflects that, to where they're fairly compensated, reflecting total compensation, including benefits. But when we do compensation, we're never doing what we did before.
Thank you. That's all I cared about.
Commissioner Flowers.
Just a comment. In my previous employment, we went through similar process, but we used BDO. And they came out, met with leadership, then they met with frontline staff, and then they had separate sessions in locations where persons did not feel like they couldn't share what they wanted to share. And then they brought that information back unfiltered. So some of it was kind of hard to swallow, but they brought it back unfiltered. So it covered personnel, it covered compensation, it covered wages. And then, whatever actions were taken by the board and leadership as a result of that happened then. The only thing I was very leery of is sometimes when persons take information and formulate it into a report, sometimes maybe leaving out some stuff that makes you think one thing, but really that's not what was conveyed. So I didn't know about the Evergreen study or whatever, but it is kind of good to do that and see where you are as an organization and build on that point. But anyway, just throwing out that was my experience in going through that process. And it was not something that lasted for years either. It was maybe 6-7 months. I mean, they came in, they were here. You had to meet with them when they met. It wasn't I don't want to do it or whatever. So anyway, just sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anything else? Okay. Anything else on your end?
In addition to the consultant we just discussed, in FY22, we've also incorporated contracting for 2 positions, and this is to assist us with the ongoing disaster recovery. As you can imagine, between Irma and COVID over the past few years, we've had completely dedication of resources to this, even though their job still requires that they do additional things. So we are going to contract, and we've already begun that. We started in June, at the beginning of June, to contract 2 employees to help us work our way through the disaster recovery. And we just wanted to mention as well that with Hurricane Irma, we have identified with our disaster recovery team an additional $1 million in eligible expenditures that were reimbursable. So after project closeout, we are expecting that additional dollars.
Those 2 positions, where are they? Are they under your operating expenses?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And moving on to, let's see, the beginning of page 3. One of the things we measure from year over year is our effectiveness in estimating our revenue associated with the general fund, as I just walked through with you. Our we try to stay within a 2% range, whether it's over or under on our estimating, and we continue to meet our target, or actually exceed our target. We're most recently, we came at 0.8% last year, and I actually want to give a lot of credit to Jim Abernathy on that. It was a very difficult year trying to project general fund revenue for FY 20 throughout the year, because this is based on our estimates that we developed during budget development, and so that was really close to come into. So kudos to him, and it really helps us give you good information when we have these types of meetings. And then on the next one, you can see we've already discussed that, but we also measure that we were coming in where we should with our general fund reserves. And as we just discussed, we far exceeded the 15%. This 24.2% was based on last year's adopted budget. So we usually base that on the adopted budget, not throughout the year as it changes.
I just wanted to say, is Jim still here? I don't.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
back here.
how could I not see you? But you're hidden right behind. Thank you for your effort on that front, Jim. Appreciate that. On the comment before. Go ahead.
Aubrey, would you let me hand this off to you?
Sure. Good morning, Commissioners. Aubrey Phillips with Office of Management and Budget. Good to see you all again. So just a quick update on some initiatives that OMB has been the lead on. We had a number of initiatives that we were leading in FY20 that were delayed due to COVID. Many of those are moving forward now. We are due to field 2 new internal customer service surveys before the end of this fiscal year, one for Office of Management and Budget, and then we've also been working with the Department of Administrative Services, which, as you remember, came together as a new department, so we've been working with them to update their internal service, customer service survey and field that later this year. We've also been moving forward with refreshing the engagement strategies and the project plan for the strategic plan refresh that we had briefed you on in January of 2020. That obviously was very much impacted by COVID, and we had to put off proceeding with the community engagement we wanted to do around that strategic plan refresh. But we're updating that plan. We'll be bringing that back to the county administrator before the end of the fiscal year so we can kick off with that in FY22. And then last but not least, we are also in the midst of evaluating a transition to a consolidated customer service center. This was again driven by comments and questions that have arisen during your strategic planning workshop over the last few years. The consultant we're working with has been working with our staff person who's a liaison with all of our call centers across the county departments, understanding what kinds of calls they're taking, the volume, how they've got those resourced, so that we can evaluate which calls make sense to move to some sort of centralized customer service center, and which calls are really more need the subject matter expertise that's in a specific department. So we'll be bringing those recommendations back to the administrator and the board later this fall as well.
That will be awesome. It's so frustrating for people to call and be bounced around and not really have the expertise to exactly where to send folks. So it'll be really nice. I really look forward to getting that study, because that's, well, we talk about it in many of our things that we're looking at right now, having that central point of contact and having somebody that can do the right handoff, right? I mean, to the right place and get your answers, your questions answered sooner and quicker and more effectively. So looking forward to that. Commissioner Seal.
Yay. So will that be actually like a 311 number, or will it just be a
So they'll
7-digit number?
The consultant will provide us with some recommendations, and ultimately that'll be the board's decision on whether we go with a 7-digit, which we have a 7-digit now, or move to a 311. Really, one of the key things that they're looking at, to the point that the chair just made, is what are the types of calls we have, and do we have a knowledge management system so when we have one number and someone calls it, they're not getting yep, I'm going to have to get back to you on that, or take a message. They've got the information and can route the call appropriately or provide the correct and accurate information. So we're bringing that forward back to you.
And that's where we have 29 different business types. And so the question is, what things can we consolidate? What things need to remain because they're so technical we'd never be able to provide training at that level? Or is it that's the initial contact and then they so that's the reason we bring in someone that's set up these for companies. You know, companies have different divisions and different types, and so they're looking at that, and they'll bring back a report on it.
Great. Anything else?
That's it.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions for OMB? And so, yes, Commissioner Seaver.
Well, we would be remiss for not recognizing the entire staff of OMB, but also the leadership of Bill Berger. And Bill will be departing soon from us, unfortunately, to do some traveling. And I just want to personally thank you for everything that you've done. I really liked the opening in your narrative, which says you guys are the honest broker, and you truly are. So thank you very, very much.
Yeah, this pandemic did a lot of things, and it got people thinking about traveling and stuff like that. But we wish you all the best. We're going to miss you here. I know you've got a great team lined up behind you right now. We feel really good with the folks that we have, but you've done a great job here, so thank you.
Well, thank you. And yeah, it's really about the team. I'm the one who you see more often than anybody else. I'm the one who oftentimes gets credit, but it's the team that's doing the bulk of the work, and the team that's the ones that make me look good.
Over there, and out there. Lots of them right here in the room, so.
Yeah, and it's great, and I appreciate Barry giving them the opportunity through this forum for them to get exposure with you and the public, so that you and the public have an opportunity to get to know them and see the great work that they do, and put a name to the faces and the work product that you're seeing every day.
And it's amazing the areas that your folks get involved in. I mean, Jim was involved today talking about comes to our TDC folks, and those folks just, love him to death in terms of working with them and trying to get the work done right so that our group can see the plans for Visit St. Pete Clearwater as an example. So they do such great work. So again, thank you for all the efforts. Did you have anything?
No, except he will be here through the budget. We appreciate the great advance notice that he gave us. Obviously, it's going to be a hard position, but, in the meantime, we can pick on him. And
No, we've got a lot of picking to do, so.
But he'll be here till October, so until we get the budget passed.
All right, anybody else? Well, it was a great switch to do that fill-in. It's 11:30, and we will take a break until about 12:05, okay? Thank you. We are going to do the Government Capital Improvement Program. That includes our penny discussion. So, Mr. Burton.
Yeah, before we get started on that, I just want to remind commissioners that we have both tomorrow and Friday, we'll have it, because as soon as, we get done with that and we adjourn, it's hard to get us back. But, so we have a full day tomorrow. We have the the clerk of the circuit court, medical examiner, Florida Department of Health, Human Services, Office of Human Rights, Safety and Emergency Services, Emergency Management, and Animal Services. So pretty full day tomorrow, and then we'll end Friday with the Supervisor of Elections, Tax Collector, Sheriff, and the Board of Commissioners Department. So, I know we spent 3 days before. There's a lot of different groups, but that'll conclude, this week's briefings. But for now, I'll turn it over to Jackie Trainer, who heads up our capital improvement plan, and they're going to provide a presentation, and update on where we're at in our capital improvement program.
Thank you. Welcome, Jackie.
Good afternoon. Thank you. As Barry said, I'm Jackie Trainer with the Office of Management and Budget. I'm the budget manager for the Capital Improvement Program, and with me today is Andrew Brown, our CIP budget analyst. I also have a couple of directors that are my partners, Jim Fogarty from Safety and Emergency Services, Joe Lauro from Administrative Services, Paul Kazi, Parks and Conservation Services, and I'm pretty sure Kelly Levy will be here soon from Public Works. So just want to thank them for being here too. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Andrew to get us started.
Hello, Andrew. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. We are going to...
You're going to have to get that microphone closer to you because we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Good afternoon. We're going to be giving a presentation regarding the Governmental Capital Improvement Program. There was also supporting documentation that was given to you, but we'll refer back to that later. So we just want to orientate you to the presentation at this time. Before we get started, we wanted to recognize our partners in the department. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. There's a lot of coordination that goes on and a lot of teamwork throughout the year. It begins in January. It doesn't really end until September, so there's a lot of coordination that goes on, so we wanted to thank them. So today we're going to be focusing on the Capital Projects Fund. What that is specifically non-enterprise projects, commonly referred to as governmental projects. What those are projects that are managed by Public Works, Parks and Conservation Resources, Real Estate Management, Safety and Emergency Services, departments like that. And it consists of projects like roads, bridges, drainage, beach nourishment, park development, facilities, radio towers, fire stations, things of that nature. What it excludes is solid waste, utilities, and airport projects, which were actually discussed during the departmental budget information sessions. The Capital Projects Fund is primarily penny funded, but it does also include other funding sources, specifically tourist development tax, which funds our beach nourishment program, and a 9-cent local option fuel tax, which funds our ATMS projects. And again, it's a 6-year plan that's updated annually. The first year, FY22, must be balanced. The outer years are just a plan, and they will be updated annually during the budget cycle. Our next slide is a graphic that demonstrates the funding sources of our FY22 proposed plan. This is only FY22. And you can see that we are estimating $213.7 million in activity for the first year of the plan that must be balanced as part of the approved budget. As you can see, penny is the dominant funding source in this capital projects fund at 87.7%. We also have grants at 9.2%. You can see your 9-cent local option fuel tax, which funds the ATMS projects. Specifically what that is a 1-cent levy that was started in 2007 to fund the ATMS projects, and it's in effect until 2026. One of the things that we did want to note about that 9-cent local option fuel tax is that the revenue is driven by gallons consumed, not by the price of a gallon of gas. So if gas goes up, your revenue doesn't go up. If it goes down, it doesn't go down. It's based on how much gallons are consumed within the county. The tourist development tax is another funding source at 0.8%, and that funds your beach nourishment. And then finally, we have other revenues and fees at 1.8%. And what that consists of is things like transfers from other funds, multimodal impact fees, and private contributions.
Question real quick. On the $187 million for Penny this year, seems, and again, doing rough calculations, that it should be around $90 million a year if it was averaged out. So are these projects that are just have been planned and maybe not implemented, and we're going to have a heavy year this year as far as implementation of Penny projects? Just maybe a thought on that.
Yes, that's actually using fund balance also. So really what that correlates to is the expenditure side, because we have to be balanced. So that's an accumulation of Penny and new Penny revenue.
Okay.
It's just that, yes, this year is that they're predicting a heavy year.
Yeah, okay, so it really, with this budget, we will have had accumulated, what, 2.5 years, 2020,
We started January 1st of 2020.
and this goes through, obviously,
But
September.
of course, we had fund balance in the Penny from Penny 3.
Okay, all right,
And yes, there are still ongoing projects from Penny 3 being finished up.
okay. All right, thank you.
So you can see that Penny is the major funding source. And so what is Penny? The Penny for Pinellas is a 1% local government infrastructure sales surtax. It's been in effect since 1990 for 4 sequential 10-year periods. Most recently, it was approved in November 2017 with 83% of the vote, and was approved for a period January 1st, 2020 to December 31st, 2029. Within the spelled out in the interlocal agreements with the cities was countywide investments, and what those are programs where we allocate a certain percentage off the top of the Penny revenue. So for example, 8.3% is going to be allocated to economic development, capital projects, and housing. 3% is going to be allocated to jail and court facilities, and again, that's off the top. That's before the county and the cities get their distributions. Once that amount has been taken off the top, per the interlocal agreements, the county gets 51.75%, and the cities get 48.25%. And that distribution is based on population. So previously, we had a slide showing you what funds the $213.7 million that we have planned. This slide is showing you what we're going to spend it on. So you can see transportation is clearly our largest activity that we'll be spending it on in FY22. You can see public safety, physical environment, et cetera. One of the things that's important to note is the countywide investments are reflected here in economic environment and human services, which is why they're larger than typical. For a more detailed view of what we're going to be spending that $213 million on in FY22, we've included in your backup what we refer to as a project budget detail report, which is basically one project per page, gives a description, budget by year, funding source, task, design and construction, start and end date. So included in your backup are those documents. And we did break them up into 5 separate documents. The first one is economic development and housing, 8.3%. And what that's going to be is that first set aside, that 8.3%. The second one is courts and jails, 3%. It's going to be the courts and jails at 3%, so you can look at it holistically. Third, and probably most importantly, is the county Penny budget detail report, and that's going to be your county Penny projects. So if you wanted to read up on any specific project, that's where you're going to look. And then lastly, we broke out coastal management and ATMS because they had separate funding sources, and they're actually tracked separately, and we wanted to isolate them for you so you could digest them separately. Next, I just wanted to give you an update on the forecast. The capital fund forecast has been updated with revenue projections. It does include several new projects for this year. It was updated with the department's budget submissions for FY21 estimate and FY22 through 27 proposed plan. Again, it includes the new projects, and it is balanced for FY22, which is necessary to proceed with the proposed budget. And then lastly, before I hand it back to Jackie, we just wanted to review the new penny-funded project request with you to let you know what has been added to the proposed plan. First, just to give you an idea of the process that we go through every year. Every year, departments can submit new project requests via the SharePoint site, via request form. These request forms include information about the project, like project estimates, justifications, criteria ranking, any pertinent information. It's a really all-encompassing form. These requests are then compiled and presented at various committees. First, the coordinating committee, which is the technical staff level, where we refine them further, discuss feasibility, prioritization, stuff like that, coordination. A lot of coordination happens at that level. Next, we take it to the action team. Did you have a question? No, sorry. Next, we take it to the action team, which is the director level. More refinement and coordination occurs. And lastly, the governance committee, which is the county administration level. Through this process, projects are prioritized and estimates and plans are refined and coordinated, resulting in a final list of projects to present for inclusion into the proposed plan.
Now, I do have a question.
Okay.
There's a prioritization that goes on that, from my perspective, it's in a black box, and I'm not sure how it all gets done. What I do get told occasionally is that we try to avoid the political process and prioritization of these projects. And so I'd just like to maybe there's not a set criteria for establishing priorities, but it would just be, and I don't know if it's appropriate today, maybe another time, just to get a sense of how one project stacks up against another, and how that makes its way through the technical committees, and what levels, and when do they rise up to the next level to be considered, and then the final prioritization. It's helpful because we have interaction with our constituents all the time, and they're talking about a problem in their area, and I go out there and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's in terrible condition, and then I find out it's fiscal year 25 or something, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So, and obviously it's way down on the priority list. And so maybe sometime, and maybe it's not today, but maybe sometime we can get a sense of that. I think it's just a way of communicating better with our constituents when they call us.
Absolutely. That process is called the portfolio project management process, and we'll definitely put something together for you to give you a more in-depth look at it.
Okay, thank you.
And so again, this is the list that resulted through that process. These are specifically the penny-funded project requests, so it doesn't include solid waste new requests or airports new requests. It's just penny projects. First, you have two bridge projects, Madonna Boulevard and Sands Point. These two were determined to be scour critical, which means that the erosion around the pilings was severe. It's important to note that these two began development under a bridge program project that is a recurring project that's allocated funding every year to develop projects like this. And then it was determined to break them out. These are in the Tierra Verde area, and it's also important to note that we did reduce that bridge program accordingly, so the net impact of these two projects to the forecast is nothing.
So, so you moved other projects out.
So there's
later.
there's a bridge program that's allocated X amount of funding every year, and we reduced that program to fund these.
For this year?
For the outer years as well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Next, we have three public safety radio sustainment projects. And what these are three options on an existing Motorola contract for a project that's already underway called radio equipment shelter replacement. These projects should be done in conjunction with that project to avoid mobilization costs and operating costs associated with duplicate assets. There's currently crews and equipment already on site for the existing project, and the cost estimates for these three options are based on doing these projects together with that existing project. So they have been added to the proposed plan. And if there's no questions, I'll go ahead and hand it over to Jackie.
Okay. So this slide, the capital projects fund needs to be balanced by the dedicated funding sources. meaning the revenue sources coming into the capital projects fund need to be spent on the projects for that funding source, for what it's dedicated to. So for example, each one of these, the economic development, capital projects, and housing must be funded by that 8.3% countywide set aside. Jail and court facilities must be funded by the 3% countywide set aside. The county projects funded by the county's distribution of the penny. And as you all know, the cities get their own distribution of the penny. And as Drew showed earlier, what the distribution is. Coastal management projects must be funded by the tourist development tax, and the ATMS projects by the local option fuel tax. So what this slide is showing, or what I'm trying to show here, is that each one of those programs is balanced throughout the years, except for the county penny projects. And that's where we have some work to do. We are balanced for fiscal year '22. As mentioned earlier, that's part of the proposed budget and must be balanced, and so we are balanced there. And in a few slides, I'm going to go over some strategies to align the entire plan with our projected revenues.
Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner.
So I'm sorry to bring up this sore subject, but this is a budget workshop, and we are talking about capital projects and our penny money. And I guess, and I know a lot of the answer is going to be predicated on, well, that's not the way we've done things in the past. But I would like to know, and maybe FAC is a good place to do this little exercise, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to attend FAC this year. And I'd like to know if we're the only county that doesn't have transportation, the cost of transportation and transportation projects embedded in our general fund and penny money somewhere.
You talking about transit or transit itself or roads?
Transportation is in our
Yeah,
cost.
transportation's in.
Transit.
Transit.
Oh, transit? Well, we could certainly find that out. I'm sure you're going to find a wide variety of situations. So it depends on, you can go to general governments where they do support that through the general fund. I'm sure, and I can point out a number where they don't. So I'm sure you're going to find that across the board. But we have transportation. Part of the penny is for improving our roads, improving our intersections, and those types of activities. That's included within the penny.
Right, but I'm more concerned about our lack of dedicated funding for that, just because I know that the new infrastructure packages that are being worked on at the federal level for sure, and I don't know about the state so much, but they do require, well, the state does as well, requires a match from local government. And I don't know that we're really prepared for that. I know we have ongoing conversations that are upcoming, but this is a huge, big subject matter, and I find it interesting that we don't spend a lot of time in our budget workshops talking about it.
Okay. We certainly can. I don't think it's intended that way. What we're really trying to show you on this slide is that for the requests that we have for our penny, that we're going to have to prioritize projects. That's really what this slide says. And that's not even necessarily accounting for what I'm really concerned about, which is the increased cost of construction. From the time that we began this in 2017 to today. As those cost estimates come in, we're going to be continually refining this. Hopefully, by the time, a year from now, those will be down.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, hopefully.
I said hopefully, but we're going to have to play with that. That's a piece of this that we can't control. But we always said, and Jackie's got some more slides that say that, but what we're really trying to put out with this slide, and we certainly can have the broader question about larger transportation issues, and we can do that whenever you like. This one's very specific to the penny. Now, in the past pennies, where you've had major capital constructions, and we have a federal project, we've shuffled things around. We've we've taken money out of the penny to use as match monies for larger transportation projects. You have done that in the past, and so as we see what happens, within Congress, we would have the ability to do that, albeit at a trade-off with something else that we wouldn't do, so.
Well, I think I know I'm harping on about it, but I do think it's almost anymore a public health and safety issue, especially given the presentation that we saw yesterday at the Regional Planning Council with regard to the projections for this year's storms for our area. So I'm worried about that, and I think to not have the discussion is not very wise.
Commissioner Gerard.
I just wanted to point out that there's on attachment 3, countywide penny budget. On the first page, it has details about all the transportation projects. And we're spending $70 to $80 million a year on transportation. Well, we know it's not enough, but it's not like we're not spending money on transportation.
Yeah, and I think going back to and I think it was in 2017 when we went out to talk to the public about this process, we had really great feedback. I mean, obviously very supportive of the program, but very good feedback about what those interests were. How would we spend that money? And I think that's what we have to always, and I'm sure you all do. When you go through this, you check back to make sure that it's kind of in line with the promises that we made. We anticipate these issues.
Yep.
These are how we're going to do it. This is when we're going to do it. What do you think? And then we got some feedback, and then we adjusted the program a little bit. But it's based on that kind of work that we did up front to get this passed by our residents.
That's correct, and we're kind of taking away Jackie's slides, but
I'm sorry.
but I'm as guilty as everybody on that. But it's important. We do look at what we promised. Okay, and we're trying to deliver on that. At the same time, you're trying to balance, and that's the reason and the importance of the portfolio approach of looking at our infrastructure, things that the public wouldn't see, and they would say, yeah, you don't want to let a road deteriorate to the point where you have to spend more money than resurfacing and things like that. All those hundreds and thousands of decisions that our staff make, it's on balance, And so we try to look at both and certainly keep in mind delivering on the promise. But that's the reason it has to be an iterative process year after year. Taking, for instance, we're doing the study on East Lake Road. Well, we don't know at this point whether that's going to be improving intersections or is that going to be widening the road. That's going to be a lot of public feedback in determining that. So it's hard to put in a cost when you don't know what the project's going to be. And so some of these things do take time, and that's kind of where they're at the early into this 10-year cycle, and they're funding up those studies that'll be able to bring the alignment in the later years.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point. I mean, we looked at what those needs would be. The public liked those needs. It doesn't mean we're going to hit every single one of them, because as you mentioned, in the last year, really, in the last 6 months, the price of construction has gone through the roof. And on various parts. Now, hopefully, as you said, that'll come down a little bit, but that could just be a cyclical thing too. We could be seeing trends on those cost increases. But anyway, Jackie, go ahead.
Okay, actually, if you give me another 2 slides, I'm going to go over all of that, because really that is the core piece of it, is doing the projects we said we would do. And so that's going to be part of our balancing act, and it is a balancing act across all the functions. So even though transportation is our biggest function that we spend money on, we still need to address drainage, flood control. So it really is a balancing act, and that's what our portfolio management process helps us do, and to coordinate that across all the departments. So I'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah, and this penny, I mean, it's really been very well received from our residents. And I think when we first started talking about this, there's a slide somewhere, and I've not this year that I've seen, but when you take that penny away, for instance, what the comparable property tax millage would be needed to offset a capital program, and would be funded completely by property taxpayers as opposed to sharing it with our visitors. This makes great sense. So keeping in mind what we tell our residents we're going to do and we do it, I think is really, really important. So anyway, enough of that, but thank you for that slide and a couple slides ahead of time.
This slide is just about our penny revenue projections, and as you know, penny is a sales tax, so it's sensitive to local and national economic conditions and, of course, the pandemic. So what I was showing here is our projected revenue back in July of 2017 during the education campaign, and then last summer with our COVID impact assumptions, and then where we're at this year, what we're projecting. So you can see we're still projecting, and this is over the 10-year period, about a 4% decrease. And again, that's compared to the July 2017 when we did the education campaign. So still a little bit of a reduction. But I want to point out that we're already seeing a bit of a rebound. Our most recent collections, which would have been for March, and then distributed in the month of May, it was 42% higher than last March for the month, just for the month. Prior to that, this year to date, we were seeing about a 2% decrease from last year, and now, just with that month, we are up 4.4% year to date over last year. So that's the good news. Also, we looked back to 2019, since 2019 was our good year. We're averaging about a 5% increase over fiscal year 19. So again, that's where I'm seeing that rebound again, because we had pretty conservative projections, if you remember, over the 10-year period from the education campaign. So again, that's the good news. We'll continue to update those projections as we get another month in. So for the proposed budget, and then even for the adopted budget, hopefully we can see that trend continue.
Go ahead.
So yeah, it's the reduced penny revenue. Our proposed plan is causing our imbalance by the end of fiscal year 23. A lot of our projects are programmed in the early years, so yes, we are heavily front-end loaded, so to speak, and it does not balance out over the 10 years. We do have the recurring projects included. And what we mean by recurring projects, those are the resurfacing projects where we budget at like a program level, and then you could do 50, 60 resurfacing jobs during the year, or sidewalks, or as Andrew mentioned earlier, the bridge program. So those are programmed in there also. However, it does not include everything. Last year, you may recall that we tried to at least build in design estimates for the projects that we identified during the 2017 education campaign, but we're going to have to build in construction at some point. And then as we get closer to actually 100% design, we'll have to update those construction estimates. And also, as Barry said, we're seeing these huge increases in construction costs. But what I want to point out is the statement that we published with those project list, that it would be subject to change because the priorities and needs are going to change. At that time, it was over a 13-year span. And even now, we're looking at 9, 10 years. So what we really want to focus on, though, is we want to try to do the projects we said we would do back in 2017, or we need to be transparent about why we shift our priorities, because definitely priorities could shift. So I just wanted to point that out, and that kind of goes to your point, Commissioner Eggers, about making sure we do what we said we'd do, but also to Commissioner Long's point about if priorities change, that we can revisit that. And my next slide shows a graph of just the county penny forecast itself. So we isolated that piece of the penny. And just want to point out that the left axis is for the expenditures and revenues. And you can see that expenditures exceed revenues nearly every year. The solid bars are the projected fund balance, which correlates with the axis on the right. So just to show you, like fiscal year 21, the solid blue bar we started out this year with a $68 million fund balance. And we're projecting $5.6 million to begin '22, so that's the small blue bar. Keep in mind, though, this will change. We have a very aggressive plan. We have very high estimates for this year. Normally and historically, we have not spent what we thought we could for many reasons. Projects get pushed out, things don't happen as quickly as we think. So, my guesstimate would be that fiscal year '22 fund balance will be higher than what we're estimating right now when we get the actuals in. But we have to go with the estimates that we have for now, showing that we're negative by the end of '23. And then if you fast forward to December 31st, 2029, which is the first 3 months of fiscal year '30, we're about $100 million in the red there. So, but we're going to discuss strategies to balance that and get us back in line.
And that beginning balance that you talk about, that fund balance, is from this penny, or is it also money that's from penny 3?
It would be both, because it's a fund that just
Okay.
keeps rolling.
Okay.
So yeah, there's funding in there from penny 3.
And I'm assuming in all this penny discussion about our infrastructure for the most part, and Barry, I know we've talked about getting our sidewalk program up to speed, and I don't want to get into today, trust me, but somewhere in our system, I'm sure we have the nitty-gritty road rating system, because for me, when we started looking, I know, I'm sorry, but when we start looking at what kind of job we're doing, that road rating over our miles should be going up ever so gradually. And if it's not, then our residents are going to let us know about it, and maybe that kind of adjustment needs to be made to improve that part of it. It's and again, not to get into it today, but I know when I first got here, and I don't even know what it is today, about 2 years into it, I asked the question, it was just alarmingly low, but it was all of our roads, our collector roads, our major, all the major roads, and all of our smaller roads too. So there's a lot of miles of that. But I think it does, when you talk about benchmarking or you talk about improving our infrastructure, I mean, that's where you start to see, we're making slight increases, slight improvements. And to move that a little bit takes a lot of commitment to that. So again, just a side comment, but.
Well, Commissioner, let me highlight that point real quick without going down a rabbit hole. We do need to have that conversation, because we're not putting enough money into our roads. We are not, okay? And what we're doing is we're taking a fixed amount of money, and let's face it, we don't have debt. So the penny for Pinellas has served this county extremely well, right? But we're not putting enough money into roads. So our road conditions and where we're investing is not always the wisest. If we let a road deteriorate to where you're reconstructing, it costs you 8 times what it would have been if you would have just kept it in the right condition with resurfacing. And so I just want to plant the seed, because there's a bigger conversation we need to have, to your point, Commissioner, about roads and the amount we're putting in. So our program here, we're gonna develop it as we have in the past. That should really be a separate conversation, because it has different strategies on how to solve that.
Yeah. Commissioner Long.
Thank you for what you just said, Barry, and to Commissioner Egger's point, though, I did see a chart, and I don't remember if it was one of our charts or if it was at a thing I was doing back when I was going through that educational thing. Because of the way transportation projects are funded and the length of time that it takes, along with the cost, by the time you finish a major project like one we have here, and Ulmerton Road's a great example of how long it took us to finalize that. And by the time we finalized it, there were parts of it that were very, very low already in terms of their grading, just because of the time it took. So that's, to me, is just tells us, and I hear what you just said, and it drives me right up the flagpole. Well, because that's the way we've always done it. Well, that isn't good enough anymore. Just because that's how we've done it, the world is changing. It's changing rapidly. And we're going to be very sorry. And again, I want to stress, it is a public, for those of you that were around and on the commission when we had to evacuate during Irma, that is a major nightmare, getting people off this peninsula in a major, major storm. So again, these are huge, big discussions, but I just cannot stand it when I say, well, that's the way we've always done it and planned it.
Well, I did.
It just isn't good enough.
But I think the point that Barry was making, or at least the one I heard, was if we are not doing it on a regular basis like we're supposed to be doing, then the cost of redoing that road will go up terribly.
It's a waste of money.
We're trying to get, it's almost like playing a catch-up game with limited funds.
Exactly.
And we're getting further behind on some of our roads that when we get to them, now we're spending $2 a mile versus $1 a mile.
That's
and,
correct.
And it's, and, you know, those aren't the real numbers.
So
but yeah.
my point is, let's get through this. So I want to separate that discussion from our capital improvement project or program discussion, because they're kind of two separate issues. Both need to occur.
Well, they are, but it's critical. I mean, we cannot keep on doing what we've been doing and think we're going to get a different result.
Yeah, let's keep a list of these topics so we don't forget about them later. Commissioner Seal?
Well, when we have the discussion about rolling back the millage as well as the gas tax, then we need to add this to the conversation. And there are certain places that have dedicated millage just to the roads. And that is a policy decision that could be made by this board, that there is X amount of dollars per year that is dedicated towards making sure our roads are without potholes. I mean, I am proud. I know it's not perfect, but if you go to the other side of the bay, there's a lot more potholes over on the other side of the bay than there are here. So to our, I want to commend our staff and our capital improvement project that we're in relatively good shape. Could we be better? Yes. So thank you, Kelly.
And I mean, it's a good point. I mean, I'm going to be meeting with a couple people about their neighborhood and how bad their roads are right now. I'm not going to tell them that Hillsboro's worse, but I do think, I mean, these are. I mean, I think Barry wants to talk about these things later, but I do think it's policy decisions that we need to look. Yep.
All at the same time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Agreed. Okay. Jackie.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So what we wanted to go over is what is included in the plan. The proposed plan is 75% of the projects on that 2017 penny list are in the plan, and they're fully programmed, and some of them have been completed already. But what is not in the plan are full funding for 24 of the identified project. 12 of them have design only. And again, as you may recall from last year, we wanted to try to at least get design built in for most of the projects. We do have 10 that we say are on hold for future consideration. And again, that's part of our portfolio management process, where we go through reviewing those project requests, and for various reasons, we're just not ready to put them in the plan yet. There could be further studies, further research, and so we put them on hold to bring them back and look at them again next year. And then we have 2 projects that were on the project list that have not been requested yet, and again, that's because we're reevaluating those to see if they're really needed. So we're looking at that 2017 list to make sure we're programming in the projects we need to, we're doing the projects we said we would do.
Yeah, Commissioner Seal.
And can we have a specific list of those 20 of those projects?
Yes.
So that we know what they are, and the 12 without the funding, the 10 on hold, and thank you, Jackie.
Sure. All right, so ideas for balancing over the 10-year period. First of all, our 22 proposed budget is balanced, and we can move forward with that as part of the adopted budget. But we do want to work on aligning our project expenditures with our projected revenues, and we'd like to do that prior to fiscal year '23. So this is really going to be an effort of working with our partner departments, our partner agencies, and prioritizing, again, I'm going to go back to that 2017 list of projects we said we would do, prioritizing that list, getting those in, getting some construction estimates in there, and getting that figured out prior to the '23 budget. And that may include other funding sources. Again, we always look at additional grant funding. We may decide to ask for maybe a general fund bond for some of the big projects. I mean, there are other alternatives to just penny funding, so we can look at other funding sources. Again, we want to make sure we get the construction estimates in there, and they'll need to be updated, because as soon as you get closer to construction, as someone had mentioned, the length of time it takes to do a transportation project, you could be 4 years down the road in design and acquisition before you even get into construction. So even a construction estimate now would need to be updated. Just like construction estimates we got back in 2017 would totally need to be redone at this point. So a lot of work to do there. Our proposed plan is aggressive, and we need to do this each year. We need to look at, number one, we have the projects we said we would do, but we need to reevaluate that, look at schedules, look at where they're at, move it out, get realistic schedules, realistic funding. And of course, we're going to update the penny revenue projections. As I mentioned before, hopefully that'll keep getting better, just like we just saw for the month of March. And regardless, we want to be transparent in our communication. If we are making a change to the projects we said we would do, we want to document why it was changed. And again, just be transparent about communicating that this priority moved out, this priority moved in. And that's it. Any questions?
Yeah, that penny, the penny dollars that we use, those are contracted costs. I mean, whatever we sign contracts for, that's what shows up there, I'm assuming. Do we have overhead that gets thrown into there too, our own overhead that gets thrown into projects as well?
Yes, we do charge staff time directly to the projects, and there is an overhead rate that goes along with that.
Is there like a percentage, would you say 10% of it, 5% of it?
It varies by the department and depending on the section, because some sections spend a lot of time on capital projects, whereas some don't, so we have to adjust that each year, and we do a calculation for that.
Okay, all right. Okay, questions? Yes, Commissioner Seal.
I've mentioned this to Barry in the past, but I'll mention it to you all as a whole. I don't know whether you've noticed, but for many years we had kind of a policy that you didn't put down the single-member district on each penny or construction project. And it was there, that was for good purpose, so that we didn't become single-member district focused. Somehow in the last couple years, I'd say, they now list single-member districts, and I don't care to see that. I think we are here representing the entire county, and I'm sure that those of us in a single-member district probably already know where this project is when you look at the title. So I just think that sends a wrong message, and also it's a lot of work in my opinion, on our staff's part to have to identify whose single-member district it is. So I'm just stating that for the record, please.
Commissioner Long.
Well, I agree with that, and there are several of us here that are county-wide, and represent the whole entire county. So I guess my question is, what's the point?
I can answer that if you want me to. Basically, we had put that in as it's a classification on the project to help us when we get those questions of what did you do in this area, what did you do in that area. So like the report card during the Penny Education campaign, that helped us identify that. We do have another classification now where we just try to identify location. So we could eliminate the single-member commission district and really just focus on the location so that we can pool that same reporting.
Commissioner Gerard.
His name, I don't,
I
it's
didn't
like-
hear you.
I think you could leave the district in it if you want to track it like that and just leave out the commissioner's name because
Yeah.
really we're all responsible for all of it.
We could, because then we don't have to update them when there's a change.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think that's a
Well,
good
that's
point, but I do think from our residents' perspective, forget the district commissioner stuff. It could be north, middle, south. It's not, people or beaches or whatever it is. People really want to know what's going on in their areas. And I'm not talking about commissioners want to know, but if you're in mid-county and you're getting, 5% of the road dollars and North County's getting 60%, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, we've got all kinds of problems down here. I know you guys are aware of that. You're going by project priorities and everything else, but I do think there's a value, at least from a communication to our residents' perspective. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to stick our head in the sand. It doesn't lead to public policy decisions, but I do think it's important that we understand where our monies are going.
Jackie, did you say that you had an idea on that, on locational?
Yeah, how would you?
Yeah, we can take off the commission district and
Yeah,
just
it's
leave
fine.
location. And that way we can still pull the reporting to know, where a particular project was done. And again, just going back to the education campaign, and when we do this again, it's really being able to pull that report card when we get those questions, when you go out to North County or Mid-County.
Exactly.
What did you do in my area? Well, that way we can produce a good report.
But there's other sorting mechanisms if you get that question. It doesn't have to be by our districts. It can
Right.
be by whatever that other mechanism,
Yeah.
zip code. I don't know where the project's located, but if somebody wants to know,
I just don't, it appears political to me, and that bothers me. We're really here to serve the public, and we're here to have our staff prioritize based on what is needed in this county, what is done. Because I think one of the questions that I've, over the years, is when somebody says, well, you're not spending, I give you X amount of taxes, and I said, well, this is what capitalism is all about. In a democracy, we're serving everybody, and we're trying to do the right thing for the entire county. So,
I don't have, and I brought that point up earlier about the black box and seeing inside the black box. I haven't sensed for a second that there's any of that going on. So I hope that that comment is not implying to people that we are doing that. In fact, I like to know more about how they are prioritizing projects so that I can understand and transmit that to our public. I mean, they want to know, how this project, this road is in terrible condition. Why is it on, 3 years down the road? Well, for us to better understand it, we can explain.
And we
why.
haven't.
It's not necessarily about,
To your point, Commissioner, we haven't, the pandemic, we've kind of taken a hiatus on some of these topics, and we were having those discussions on the portfolio process. And it's been a while now, so we can put that on. And that gives the public assurance that we have a professional process where we're putting all of the needs in, and it's our project managers. I remember when I addressed them when I first got here, I went into a room of over 50 people. and they're the ones that are making the evaluations of all the different capital needs throughout the county that are our responsibility. And they're evaluating those and putting them through a process to where the highest priority ranks best. And so that is what's occurred. But we haven't done that for a long time. So we can put that onto a future agenda and kind of outline that process for you to where you and the public can see that transparency in the way we do that.
Commissioner Gerard?
yeah, I think that would help a lot. It's certainly been helpful in the discussion about public lands or environmental / parklands, and, to explain that we have a process and there's a priority list, and it's very much based in data, science, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah. So again, I think it's not about getting into the box to make changes. It's about understanding what's in the box so that we can communicate better when I go meet with these folks and they're upset because their roads aren't getting done, I can better explain
Right.
the priority system, you know, so, because there's a lot of roads that need a lot of help, right?
Well, and, you know, I was just talking with Jill, you know, while they were, you know, we were talking about this, and, you know, we went through that process with the sidewalks, and we just kind of gave you well, we're going to do the same thing with roads. Don't look for that in, you know, a week or two. That's going to be a process. But I need to articulate that to you to where we can make good decisions on how we address, you know, those types of issues. But we're going to work on that.
Yeah. Did you have something? Okay, you had your microphone, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Any other questions on that? Okay. Oh, are you,
That's it.
you finished?
For the capital
Okay.
program, so.
All right, well, there's no, I mean, we said about an hour, it's not quite there. Any other comments or questions on the stuff we went over today, or we're good to, and remember, we're getting out a little early, so tomorrow we may not be as lucky, but we'll see. All right, well, if nothing else, then we are adjourned.